Evening. We'll begin this concurrent meeting of School Administrative Unit Number 12, School Board in the Londonderry School District. Today, Thursday, December the 4th. And if you'd all please rise, I'd ask Mr. Hooley to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And just for the record, just a quick recap of the upcoming meetings. Tuesday, December 9th is our regular board meeting, 7 p.m. here. Thursday, December 11th is budget workshop, again here. I will announce December 16th and December 18th both as open budget workshops if we need to use those dates. And with that, I'm going to begin the deliberation to see what action the board will take regarding a proposed teacher contract. So with that, I think you want to...
Yeah,
I'll ask Mr. Campo just to run through the highlights of the proposed contract.
George, before
I'm
you
sorry,
do,
yes,
may I?
John?
As my wife is a member of the unit covered by this contract, I am going to recuse myself from any participation in this.
Thank you, John.
okay. Susie, do you have the course sheet? I left that in the other room. Okay, I apologize. No, that's the same scan, if you completed total course.
No, I don't have it.
There was an extra set.
No, it's not. Okay, basically, I'll start off with it. What we have done is we have completed negotiations with the teachers' union for a 3-year contract. In this contract, as we look at it, the contract does a couple of things. First of all, the teacher's contract is just step increases each year over the 3 years, plus the cost of living for people that have reached the top step. Okay,
But
Okay.
Ron, I'm sorry, just, it's an either or, not both.
excuse me. I'll start over again. I'm sorry. Basically, this contract here is a step increase contract. There is no cost of living for the steps that are involved in here, on here. So what happens is the bottom step or the highest paid step remains constant throughout the 3 years of this contract. What we've done in this contract here is try to standardize these levels between the steps on here where each of the steps in the last year of the contract is equal percentage increase over the period of time. It is also a contract, when we said it, is we wanted to increase the starting salary of the teachers in the district. One of the things that we found out is that as we looked at surrounding districts, our contract or our starting salaries for a teacher with no experience was much lower than the surrounding school districts, and we were not getting the young teachers in the district because they can make more money in other districts. So what we've done is we've moved that up without increasing the top scale. It compresses it a little bit, but it allows the district to hire the teachers at the earlier phase of the career that they would come to Londonderry at that phase. So those are the major contracts, and as we look at it, the wording contract here, the other couple of things that we have here is one of the major issues that we have is we have agreements on what we call the 125 spiking clause with the union. And what this is the legislature has passed a law that has stated that if a member makes more than 125% over the last 3 years of the contract, the school district would be responsible for the increase in the retirement benefit. And that increase in retirement benefit, they would look at what the current cost of money is. They would take that money, that $100, take it over the actuary of the person, bring it back to this year's contract or this year, and you would have to pay a lump sum number to the retirement fund to fund that person, the actuary of the contract. What we've reached an agreement with the union on also here is that any benefits because of the sick time pay that we give, that they collect and they get as part of their contract, that if it goes over that number, that any monies will be paid in a future year that would not affect the retirement pay. So we taken that liability away from the unions. We've also are going to work on the we've increased graduate course reimbursement for people that are enrolled in a graduate program, and that goes from $15 to $22.50, but we remain, if it's part of a workshop and items like that are not in an approved graduate program going to their certification, then they would stay at the $1,500. We have not, so that would remain the same. We also have an article that will help us in our recruiting, is that the teacher contract return dates are moved up a month to May 1st, with the June 1st being the date that if they retire or if they want to leave the district, that kind of fixes the year that they do it. We have also looked at the spiking charge, and then we have a couple of subcommittees to look at the reduction in force language in the contract and some of the other provisions in the contract to look at the cost of living adjustments that are for people that are off scale. So basically, that's the contract. The salary in the Warren article, Peter, you want to talk about that? The increase in the value of the contract in the first year is $1,189,544. Second year is $1,461,678, and the third year of the contract is $1,491,846. And I'd like to emphasize there is no cost of living in the steps of this contract. It's just the steps itself. So,
Any questions from the board?
comments?
Comments? Budget committee? Guys have anything?
Yeah.
Questions from the public, comments before we vote? Okay,
George,
I'm sorry, Ben.
I'll be reclusing myself from
Okay.
the vote also.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the negotiations and to present to the voters of Londonderry for the teacher's contract for 3 years at the numbers I had discussed.
Thank you, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Thanks. I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Got that, Mary? Thanks. And-
A
Yes,
statement on it.
go ahead.
Just on that contract, particularly that part, we don't have a town council representative here tonight, but I think it's important the budget committee gain further information on that and share that with the town, because that's going to be a big effect on all sides of the government. For us, it's an issue with the buyback of time at the end of their contract, and having the ability to spread it out keeps us out of this penalty that we would incur from the state on the legislation that was passed. So there's many more opportunities on the town side for things like that to happen, where people are making more money at the end of their terms than at the end of their time in government than they were in the beginning.
Thanks, Stephen. I just wanted to also thank Brian Quartermarsh and his folks from the Teachers Union, as well as everyone on the administrative side who was part of this negotiation. It actually led to a very fair agreement for both the teachers and the district, and most importantly, I firmly believe it's a very good deal for the taxpayers of this community, and it really will enable us to ensure that we can provide the same level of quality education that we've provided here, at least through the next 3 years. So I appreciate all of their efforts. And with that, I neglected, we do have one announcement from Mr. Young before we move forward.
The, just so everyone knows, we've got word of this week, the Londonderry, the music department is going to do the Barnes & Noble, Meet Me at Barnes & Noble event again this year. This will be the second year in a row. It's a little different than last year. Last year, you just went to the counter and said you were there with a band, and they gave the band a donation. This year, you need to take a voucher with you, and those vouchers are located on the Lancer Music website. So if you go to that website on Saturday between the hours of 9 in the morning and 11 o'clock at night, if you're going to shop at Barnes & Noble anyways for the holidays, if you're to go there and to present the voucher, it means that the music department will end up with some cash. Plus, the band, sorry, not the band, but the different musical units will be playing at the facility during the day. And for me, it's always fun to watch the looks on people's faces when they start playing. And they certainly don't look like a high school music department. They look like professionals. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Good luck, Andy. We'll be there. Okay, and with that, we can begin our budget workshop. And Nate, this is the order we're going to go in. We'll start with IT.
Yes, sir.
Come on down, Sean. You got your pencil sharpened, right?
I got my pencil sharpened and I got
Sweet.
a little handout that I'm gonna have for later. No, well, you can.
Piano Springs candy.
Yano Springs candy. That's because he's sucking up. Sean doesn't have to suck up.
All right, my budget begins on page 723. I also have a number of items in the capital lease that are on page 770. I'd like to go over both of those in the context of this presentation, if I may. Just a couple of stats to get you started, to try to give you a little perspective on the stuff that we do in the IT department. Of course, our focus at its simplest form is to support the delivery of the curriculum and the administration of the district by providing an infrastructure that's stable and secure and reliable and scalable. To that end, we support about 1,300 machines, desktop machines, another 16 or so servers, a bunch of printers, network devices, copiers. We have in total about 7,000 users. 700 of those are staff. Another 3,100 are at the high school and the middle school where they have their own individual accounts. We've got another 2,200 or so that are at the elementary school that use our systems quite extensively but don't in fact have their own accounts. We expect this 7,000 is a number, we hope this 7,000 is a number that's going to go up quite a bit next year with the advent of the parent portal in the fall of 2009. These 7,000 users in the course of the year send and receive about 13 million emails. They work on the 24 terabytes of data that we back up over the course of the year. That's a sum total of all the incrementals and the full backups that we do. And they produce about 2,000 school-dude incidents or work orders. And the IT department, the 6 of us in the department, myself, a network administrator, database administrator, and 3 techs are responsible for resolving those issues and maintaining and growing the infrastructure. I'd like to thank the board and Mr. Greenberg for the support of the budget that we have this year. With that, we've really been able to make a number of very significant improvements to the infrastructure. And I feel this has afforded us the flexibility to evaluate additional offerings for the teachers and for the students, and to explore other initiatives, other technologies, including some cost-saving measures that we'll go over tonight. And I'm just going to give you a couple of bullet points of those. This year, we've been able to increase the internet bandwidth from 3 meg to 25 meg at a little bit lower cost than what we had previously paid. This has been a big help for things like video conferencing, distance learning, and enabling us to offer more web content in the classroom, NHPTV stuff, Annenberg programming, all kinds of web content that we just simply couldn't support before. I also want to note on that, we just recently, since this was published, were able to negotiate a free line from Comcast. It's a 6 meg download speed line and 768 upload That's a free line that we're going to keep separate from our network. It's not going to be part of this pool of 25 meg. None of our regular network traffic is going to flow through it. And we're going to use that to set up kiosks in a few places in the school district for public events like elections or deliberative sessions or so forth. We have a new student management system this year. That's something that I think is a very significant achievement. Prior to this year, we didn't have a system that encompassed all of the aspects of school management and was available to all teachers in the district, and we have that now. And this is something we're going to look to expand into other areas. I mentioned the parent portal. We'll also be looking at special ed. We'll also be looking at professional development. And we can do this without increasing any of our licensing fees or usage fees, and we can do it with the existing hardware. I should mention, too, that this system is available remotely via a secure connection. As you know, we are working on transitioning the elementaries to an all-PC platform. That started this year. We transitioned the 5th grade to all PCs. Next year, we'll be working on 4th grade. This is an opportunity for us to offer a lot more services to these folks. It makes those machines more manageable and also at a lower cost. And we've talked a number of times in this forum and others about the pilot program we did in the summer, whereby we had 3 interns from Stephen Downey's computer repair class build the machines that we deployed over the course of the summer, the 190 machines. I think that was a very nice experience for those kids to give them some hands-on experience in the technical world. And it was nice for the district because we got some very high-quality machines at a very good price. We paid about $350 for the box, not counting the monitor. And these were Core 2 Duos we got with 2 gig of RAM. So it was a very, very good price we got for those. And I'd like to say at this time, kudos to the 3 kids that worked on them, Nick, Ethan, and Big Dog. It's a credit to your workmanship that, to this point, we have not had a school dude on any one of those 190.
Wow.
Okay, so where we're at now, my operating budget, which is on page, Peter will scroll to it, is $331,300. That's down $7,440, or 2%, a little over 2% from last year. The capital lease portion, which I'll get to at the end of this, is $114,500, which is down a little over 50%, $117,000. Together, you add these up, the 2 portions of IT are down $124,590, 21.8%. Now, I know that the lease is paid for over the course of 3 years, and as such, those savings aren't realized in 1 year. But the numbers that you see reflected in the lease this year are not an anomaly. The cost-saving measures that we put in place, the use of thin clients, which we'll talk about, and the building of the machines are programs that I hope are to stay, and therefore I believe that the numbers you see going forward are more reflective of what you'll see from the lease from IT. A couple of cost-saving measures. I mentioned the thin client thing. We will get into that in a little more detail, and there's quite a long PowerPoint presentation in the packet. That was put together by Ronnie, and a big thanks to him. He spent a lot of time investigating this, testing this, and evaluating this. And we expect that that project, and that's the device that Peter has, will save, or that's one of the options for the device. There are a number of different thin clients. This is one that we've tested. We expect that that'll save us $43,000 next year on the decreased purchase price of it. Those are about $110. The energy savings, they only use about 5 watts of power, and the reduced licensing costs. We are not required to buy a copy of the operating system license for that. We're only required to buy a terminal services license, which costs us about $10. The long-term solution for this kind of application would be to get more technology in front of more kids, and we can do so at a lower cost than what we're paying currently. One other cost savings bullet here is the development of some curriculum mapping, benchmark, and assessment data that Tom Cranmer's been working on. He's been working with Mark over the course of more than a year now, I guess, on this, and he's gone on tour this fall because we have completed that. He's gone around to all the schools and went over the uses of that. We think that it's a positive thing for administrators and for teachers. And commercial equivalents of this kind of software are in the $20,000 to $25,000 a year range. We expect 39% rebate on the cost of our internet services from E-rate. We spent about $32,000 on internet services. That translates to about $12,000. One other cost-saving items that I want to mention is the use of a emailer application that we developed last year. It's an application whereby the administrators of schools can mass email parents by the whole school, by a grade, by a bus number, by a homeroom, or they can free type emails in there. It's another way for us to communicate to parents. It's a faster way in a lot of cases, and it's the preferred way in a lot of cases. And I'd like to say thanks to the administrators of the schools and all of the office staff who have been diligently working on entering all of these addresses and making sure they're correct. At the latest count I have, which is more recent than what you have in your books, we have about 6,000 addresses currently, and this represents about 80% of the students in the school. And the savings for this seem like a small thing, and they're spread out in a couple of different places. But let me give you an example. If every school were to send home one email to each student, and that email was in lieu of sending a one-page document, bulk rate, that would save, just in postage, not counting the cost of the paper, the cost of the envelope, the cost of the wear and tear on the printer, and the cost of the toner, or the time to do it, that would save $700. If that were to happen once a month at every school for the course of the year, in lieu of that one-page printed paper, that'd be $7,000 for the year. Obviously, we send a lot more things than that, and a number of them are more than one page in length. So I think this is a nice opportunity to save a good amount of money. And actually, we've expanded this beyond the principals at this point. Mike Dolphin at the high school is starting to use this for a semi-monthly newsletter that he sends home. So we're very excited about that. Okay, so now I'm back to the operations part of my budget. The professional services line, I'm not going to read through each of these. If you have any questions, let me know. These are the service contracts, the annual service contracts we have with various vendors. Basically, we get one of three things, or up to three things with these. We get the right to use the product, we get the right to upgrades, and we get technical support if we need it. The software line is made up of a couple of things. We're requesting $5,000 to upgrade Microsoft SQL Server, our database engine, from 2000 to 2008. There are a number of benefits to the new version, and we also anticipate that our vendors, Follett and Lunchbox in this case, are going to require us to do it anyway. We also have $60,000 in there for Microsoft licensing. This is an umbrella academic agreement we have with Microsoft. It covers the operating system, the right to transfer the operating system all over the place, which is useful for imaging. It covers Microsoft Office and all of the upgrades to Office, and it also covers CALs for Exchange.
Sean, I just didn't hear the number, the price of that.
$60,000, I believe, is
60.
what it is.
Okay, thanks.
And as much as it pains me to send $60,000 to Redmond, Washington, to Microsoft, this is actually a significant savings over what the commercial rates are for this.
For sure.
Just to give you an example, we spend about $100 for a license of Server 2008, which is probably a $900 to $1,100 sticker price on it. Supplies and repair and maintenance, I'm requesting level funding for these. Supplies is used for keyboards, mice, components that we expect, that we recognize are going to fail and we want to replace immediately. Some small number of motherboards, RAM chips, power supplies. And repair and maintenance is used for obvious things to take care of non-warranty repair or the cost of fixing anything that is broken. Training line is also level funding. We'll be using this for some training that the IT people and other folks who will be training on the parent portal will undergo. And this is also an opportunity for us to get up to speed on some of the other things we have coming, like virtualization, thin clients, terminal services. I'm going to move on to the lease. We have a couple of new pieces of hardware that I'm requesting.
Sean,
Well-
hold on, why don't you give everybody the page?
Oh,
so
I'm
that-
sorry. Well, you know, my stuff's on the last page of the lease, which is 770. I have a couple of new servers that I'm requesting. Both of them are of the same vintage, and both of them have been in the server refresh schedule for some time, slated for this year. And both of them make me nervous because we have a server of this same vintage, this same architecture that died this year. It was the elementary file and print sharing server. It also hosted their profiles, and that died the day before school. Obviously, email is a very critical service, and that's something that we want to have reliable and available. The deployment server is the second one. This is a device that we use to deploy Windows updates, to help us with desktop imaging. It's the console for Deep Freeze, which is a PC security application that we have. And we're also going to be using it for enterprise antivirus services. Document management solution is something that came forward. I have three things that in my portion of the budget that came forward through the tech committee, and this is the first of those. The document management solution is a way for us to take the paper stuff that's at the beach that we're required to keep indefinitely in some cases and store it in a more secure electronic version. Not only is it more secure, but it's a lot easier to get it into it, and it's a lot easier to get it out of it. When I brought this forward to the tech committee in the fall, my recommendation was a result of a number of evaluations we had of different products, different desktop, document imaging products. Since that time, we've gone back and evaluated this, and we have determined that we have the hardware in place if, with this $2,500 purchase to put a few OSA modules on our copiers for them to be able to access some network-attached storage. And with that, we can take the time and develop our own content management system, a way to move the documents from their working storage to the offline document management system and to do some basic cataloging of them so they can be easily retrieved later. I think this is a nice solution. It does save us a good chunk of money right now, and it's not going to limit us in the future if we were to move forward with one of the commercially available document management solutions. We can essentially lay that on the top of what we already have. The second one I'm going to mention is the thin clients. This is a use of it's the device that we pass around, and essentially it is a device that's going to be in replacement of the PC or any desktop unit, and offers all of the same services to the user at a much lower cost. We've tested a bunch of these. We have them running in the two places we plan to deploy them, and they've been running there for about 6 weeks, really without any significant incident at all. So we're very excited about that. There's quite a bit of details in the budget book on this based on that presentation that Ronnie did that highlights the way that they save money on the purchase price, on the reduced licensing costs, and the significantly less energy that these things consume. The last initiative that I'm bringing forward is the a request for a second mobile lab at the middle school. This was vetted through the tech committee, as I said. Use of a second lab will enable the middle school to expand the level of technology integration that currently exists. The flexibility that a mobile lab offers will also enhance the ability of teachers to better integrate technology at the point of need. The current LMS lab is used quite extensively and allows an increased ability of teachers to assist students with achievement of content and info-lit technology benchmarks. The use of mobile technology also allows for a differentiation of instruction through the ability to reconfigure the labs for individual or small group use and leverage the technology for use by teachers and staff to integrate a variety of tasks at critical points in the curriculum. Down to hardware replacement, I'm requesting 140 machines in total, including the thin clients. This is a number that's consistent with what we've put forth in the desktop refresh schedule. 80 of those machines, all thin clients, are slated for the elementary schools to support the Mac PC transition. We'll break those up with the new PCs that are in the 5th grade, so the 5th and 4th will have a mixture of the thin clients and the machines from last year, and that'll cover that level. We have had one of those devices in place for about 6 weeks in a 5th grade classroom in North School, and we haven't run into any difficulties. Requesting 30 more of these machines for LMS 212. Again, these will be thin clients. Over the past year, we've seen a number of school dudes in there. I have the details about the number of calls and the hours that equates to. And likewise, this was our first test case. We've had a thin client running there for about 2 months very successfully. Requesting 30 machines for Lab 174 at the high school. This is Sue Provenzano's lab. It's a lab where a lot of high-end stuff is taught, stuff using Adobe Creative Suite 3 and Visual Studio and Borland. We did test the thin clients there, and it was an utter failure. This is not an application that they're suited for. The intensity of the programs is very high, both in terms of the processor and the RAM and the graphic capability. So we're requesting traditional machines there. I'm proposing that we build these again. I'm requesting 24 machines to begin replacing the elementary mobile labs. These labs were first purchased in 2003, and they're getting a little long in the tooth. We are seeing lots of incidents now where batteries and keyboards are failing, and these cost us $65 and $100 a pop every time they do. And I believe that if we replace one of these labs over each of the next 3 years, we'll be all set. Requesting 4 notebooks in total. 2 of them are for special ed students who have requirements in their IEP for laptops. These are a little more expensive because some of the special ed software, like Dragon Naturally Speaking, has very high system requirements. 2 more notebooks are requested, one for the guidance director at the high school and another for the district office to use with the ID card printing system. I'm also requesting a printer for that, a printer for LEAP at Moose Hill, and a printer for the yearbook class at LHS. And I believe the last item I have is $10,000 for a replacement of network switches across the district. These are older HP Pro Curves. We replaced a number of them last year. I'd like to replace a number of them this year. These are devices for which we cannot get any replacement parts should something fail. And I have 3 locations at the high school, the server closet, 408, in the music room, and the back server closet, and another back closet at the middle school. That is all I have for my presentation, so at this time I'd ask, what questions do you have?
Thanks, Sean. Questions from the board? John?
Steve, want to go for it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The thin client, you list that at 110. What
Yep.
about the monitor?
The monitor's separate. I believe that the monitor and keyboard are separate. They don't come with the thin client. But the requirements for those are actually pretty simple. PS2 keyboard and monitor, mouse. We have enough of those. And the monitors that are in place in a lot of these places we can use with the thin clients. The rest of them I plan to purchase out of the supply line.
And this is I guess I'll ask Peter, because you weren't here. The document management system in the past, I mean, didn't we talk in years past, like $250,000? Wasn't it a huge, huge number?
This-
That could be the GIS number from my budget committee days.
I
but-
had viewed a number of different, and they're less than that now. I had viewed a number of different solutions, and basically there's 2 ways to go about this. There's the old hardware way where you put the OSA device in the copier, you scan it, and you enter a couple of brief metadata articles, and then it goes off. And the other one is a web-based solution where you move it from your PC to wherever it's going. And in all of these cases, I had seen them at about $10,000 to $12,000.
So this interim solution, the data that you scan
Yep.
would be compatible with future equipment.
It gets scanned. It gets scanned to a PDF, and that's existing functionality on a number of our copier printers. We would have to buy a couple of modules for some other printers because they don't have network accessibility.
Okay, I'll let John go, and then I have one big question I wanted to end with.
Few things. I'm really excited about the thin client idea too, because they have so many savings. One thing that I don't think I heard you mention was in your slideware, comparison of energy costs of $149 to $6,283. Fairly significant.
Yes.
I'm wondering where you might envision additional thin client solutions, maybe not with the same PC hardware, but with a server in a closet, say. Could some of those support some of our office environments?
Yes, absolutely. These thin clients have quite a bit of capability.
Yeah.
They're really fairly well suited to anything that doesn't have very high processor-intensive applications or very high graphics-intensive applications.
Even if you do get high on the processor scales, you can go to higher level blade servers and things like that and generally be okay.
True.
Yeah.
I really think it could be used quite widely.
Okay. Good, great. Has Linux and OpenOffice matured to a point where they're of any use to us, any benefit or cost savings?
I don't think so. I took a look at this. That's something that we had briefly talked about in the spring when I brought forth the PC Mac conversion. And I took a look at that after that. And really the problem at the moment with Linux is that most of the stuff, more than half of the stuff on our base image across the 3 schools doesn't have a comparable version that runs on a Linux platform. And some stuff does. Office does. Unfortunately, the stuff that doesn't is the stuff that's embedded in the curriculum. Kidspiration, Inspiration, Fast Math, Type to Learn, Microtype, that kind of stuff.
And none of the back office machinery would work?
Well, the issue with back office stuff, I mean, you could go to Open Office or Google Docs or something like that in place of Office. But the issue is our license with Microsoft is an umbrella. We get Office, Exchange, and the OS all in one lump. So getting rid of Office wouldn't change the price we pay for Microsoft licensing.
Good.
We'd have to get rid of all 3.
Okay. And just the other thing, these notebooks for you mentioned 4 notebooks. 2 of them are high-end things for special needs students, I guess. The other 2 are listed at $1,000 each.
Yes.
Isn't that kind of dear for a notebook anymore?
Well, you know that's last year we had budgeted $1,100 for those, and the bids and the prices came in a little bit lower than that. And what we found is we're spending a couple $100 on the 3-year warranty, which is of some value to us. Certainly, I hope to get them better than that, and it is slightly lower than we had estimated last year. But
Neat.
I should also mention there is a thin client, a mobile thin client solution. Now, this is something that may be well suited for the second lab at the middle school and for the mobile labs at the elementary. I have a version that we've tested. It's not very cost effective, but it worked. I've got another demo unit that's coming in. I don't know how that's going to work out, but certainly I hope that will work out there as well.
As a fairly prodigious consumer of bandwidth in the district, thank you very much for all you've done through the year.
Sure.
Ron, go back to Steve.
Sean, the switch, let's start with the switches. Is that compatible with the town switches, that we're going to be a common type of switch?
Yeah, the same kind of thing had happened this past year. We both had bought a core switch. Strangely enough, we both had needed one at the same time, and we both got a Cisco 3750. And the switches that we have here would be compatible. I don't know what they need, if anything, these are closet kind of switches, 48-point unmanaged closet switches. I don't know if they need any of those, but these are things that would work in any environment.
When you speak about the mobile labs at the middle school and at the elementary school, and you talk about the thin clients, what kind of cost savings will we see on that? What are we looking at cost savings if we go to the thin client type of arrangement?
Yeah, I don't have all the information for that. The first mobile device, Mobile thin clients is still a bit of a new technology. The first demo I got was from HP, and it was $755.
Okay.
And I'm not paying that much more for a laptop, and this one doesn't even include a warranty. But there are other solutions. The maker of the box that I passed around has a mobile unit that's coming out. It's not out yet. I don't know if those are going to work or when we'll see that, but I'm hoping we see something that has savings similar to what we see on the desktop side.
Okay,
I hope we get there before next year.
I guess the other question I have, because of the substantial difference in price between the thin client of a workstation and the mobile labs,
Yep.
I guess the question is more for Mark. Mark, what about, we're reducing classes at South School and Matthew Thornton. We used to have a lab set up there. Why wouldn't we be looking at setting up a lab and having the kids go there? It would be a sixth or an eighth of the cost of a regular mobile lab here. The class would be using it. We'd have 24, 26 of those computers in there. Why wouldn't we consider it as an alternative than buying a mobile lab at the elementary school? And then we still have them at the schools. North School's a little different because they don't have the space for it, but the other schools have the space for it, or will have the space next year.
I think going back to what Sean had alluded to in his presentation, and the work that we've done over the years, I think it's having the technology at the point of contact in the classroom. I think educationally, I think it's better for the students.
But I have to roll in it's not in there. We have computers in the classroom. I have to roll them in, so it's not at the point of contact. I mean, whether they're in this classroom or this classroom, please educate me on the difference there.
I think Sue could probably provide some support for Mark in responding to this question.
Excuse me. By happenstance, we used to have labs in the elementary schools, and by happenstance, because we needed the space, we ended up moving the technology into the classroom so that kids and teachers had it more readily available. We positioned ourselves very well because we realized after watching and observing and collecting some data that made a substantive difference in the way the teachers utilized the technology and in the way the kids utilized the technology. While we were observing that, nationally, research was being done that demonstrated that when kids have immediate access in the classroom environment, there's more likelihood that there will be a true integration and you get a seamless sort of, kind of the way you use a pen. You don't think about having pens in a pen lab or that kind of, it just made sense. And it was documented in a number of major research studies. I know what you're saying when you say, but we still have to wheel it in.
Yep.
But when we do that, we provide kids in their own environment where they've got other materials that are accessible to them in the classroom, whether it's textbooks or the teacher has access to the instructional technologies that she might be using, like an overhead projector or a data projector, or materials that a learning station that she's got set up. It's all sort of integrated, and that makes a substantial difference in terms of the kids' better, deep knowledge and understanding of what they're doing.
Well, let's go back a little bit. And the answer is when immediate access to the computer is the 4 and 6 computers we have in the classroom, that they're
Right.
able to use it immediately at that point in time.
But when you roll them in, then you give the kids an opportunity to have more one-on-one computing, but also in the environment that has been structured for their learning on a daily basis versus and I'm not using the right term, a sterile environment of a lab in which they're going for a pull-out program, more or less.
So I should get rid of the mobile labs at the middle school and anywhere else there's a lab, at the high school.
I'm sorry,
I should get rid of the lab at the high school, and I should get
Oh,
rid,
I
I mean,
understand, okay.
again, we have
In-
both
in-
models, and I'm just not seeing the
are
difference.
doing both models. And we are doing both models. At the high school, because of computer programming and an actual course of study that is in computer science, that's the difference between using computers in history or in social studies. That's the difference in that instance. And at the middle school, we are still presently providing on a 45-day rotation an opportunity for kids to learn more about specific skill sets, discrete skills like keyboarding, and to become more and more comfortable with applications. Remember, too, that until this year, we were sending kids up into the middle school from an Apple environment. So they had to become familiar with applications that they may not have previously used in the Microsoft Office suite. So that the fact that we have the labs at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade gave them opportunity to learn specific applications that they may not have had exposure to before. I know that at the middle school, in fact, on the 9th, Mr. Corey, Mrs. Kalachi, Joe Oswald, Ellen Romanowski, and I will be back here with a report on the mobile lab computing at the middle school. And we are looking at possibly in a future model, more integration versus lab environments. But for the time being, because we still are playing, to some degree, catch up with those kids coming up from the elementary schools in terms of making sure that they understand those applications, we still do have a discrete program for a 45-day
I think we'll
rotation.
have additional discussions, because I understand what you're saying, I hear what you're saying. I'm having a hard time understanding why a lab where I can set up an overhead projector and have that, and I can have these computers here at a savings of $24,000 in each of the buildings, and upgrade the computers on a regular basis at a cheaper cost. Why the, quote, sterile condition is an issue here, because when they're on the computers, they're on the computers and they're using the computer type of deal, and they can do some of the educational work there. I don't see them having the books out there and all that. The desk and the computer is on there. There's not a whole heck of a lot of room for anything else that's going on there. But we can have this discussion a little bit more later on that.
Steve?
Sean, I'm not going to drag out the technical details here for everyone in the room, but just something that jumped out immediately was, to get 8 times the bandwidth in the school district for, $2,400 less in a contract. I just think that should be noted. It also appears, we don't need to go through the numbers, but it appears that, with a very small increase request in your budget, you're increasing the density of machines in the school district.
Yes.
You certainly, most certainly, are also providing exceptional service and support and being forward-looking to new products without getting into bleeding edge. You mentioned the thin client, remote systems. That's good that you're looking at them, but you're also not looking at requesting them, putting them into the budget. And I'm going to ask you to just you're going to have to put your opinion, I'm going to ask you for an opinion of yourself, as if this were a review.
Okay.
So I want you to put your modesty aside.
Okay.
Just for a moment. So in the last year, in the time that you've been with us, would you say that you've earned your salary? What I'm asking is,
I know
you'll have to understand, this position, I voted against this position 5 years ago, and it took me a while to come around, and then I was supporting the position, and got to the point where I would call my support of this position a violent support, that we needed it critically. And I guess I want to know if we're getting a return on our investment without modesty.
Well, I'll do my best on that. I remember very distinctly in the last interview that I had that you had said to me that you believed that I would save my salary. And I have kept that in the back of my mind since that moment. And
Keep on reducing your
Because he
salary,
knew I'd ask
Sean.
him.
now I may have said too much. No, but in all seriousness, I have remembered what you said, And I'm happy to say that, I think that we're at the point where that has happened, so, thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
I would have asked the superintendent, but I knew he didn't have the technical capability to know.
He's actually become quite well-versed on the thin clients.
Well, then Zach is your next
And
challenge.
his first installation was
well,
at North School of that technology.
That's why we
You're
started
the
there.
next challenge, Zach. You're not a problem.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? From the Budget Committee, you guys have any questions? Jay? Tom?
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's
The next
pretty-
version of the
Tommy?
Sean, can you just give it a little explanation exactly why, how you set that up? Just real basic that.
Yeah, sure.
You set this up and then how many computers run off a single computer, or how you doing this so people understand
Well-
why the savings is there? Because we spoke about it several times and a lot of us know what it is.
Okay, this is about $110. And basically what happens is, let's say we have that elementary scenario where we have 5 computers in a bank. What we can do with this is I can take 3 regular PCs, we'll call them hosts, or 2 PCs, we'll call them hosts. They get a little PCI card that you put in them. That plugs into the back of this. The monitor plugs into the back of this. The keyboard and mouse plug into the back of this. You can actually screw this in the back of a flat panel monitor, so it's not taking up any desk space. The wiring is behind it. And this machine, like a lot of the thin clients, uses the resources of the host machines. It's a little leech. And the idea is that these machines have more processing power than what is needed for basic applications, office stuff, checking email, using the internet. So this is a way for that host to share it between the 5 machines.
So there are 10 Dell flat panels up here on this side of the dais,
Yes,
connected to a
tower.
little tower down here. What you're saying then is we could get rid of 8 of these towers, screw on a number of those, and basically go from supporting and operating expense for 10 computers down to 2.
That's exactly the theory behind this. I don't know exactly what's installed on those machines, so I don't know if this is an appropriate solution for those
Well, I've got a
particular
browser
machines.
open right now.
But,
I mean,
that's exactly the theory behind this. And, depending on the power of the host, if you're going to install server software on the host, what the applications are, you can extend these to 10, 12 machines. Or vice versa.
Thanks.
It runs multiple instances of the same application, right? So you'll log on as Jay Hooley, I'll log on as Sean Coe, you'll get your desktop, you'll get all your profile, all your documents, I'll get mine. We work independently. We're just sharing the resources of that one host.
so you're essentially virtualizing it.
Exactly. This is desktop virtualization.
And the other part of it, not everyone has to be on the same program.
No, absolutely not. I mean, everyone's running a Windows platform.
Right, but I could be on
You could be
Excel,
and you can-
yeah, on
absolutely.
Word. I think that
Yes.
was the other question you were asking.
Yep. And we, like I said, we've had these running in the place where we're deploying them for 6 to 8 weeks at the Lab 212 in the middle school and in John Rose classroom at middle school.
We can. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Yep, absolutely, Tom. And, Tom, before you say anything, I just want to mention also, I know it was you, I can't remember whether it was last year or the year before, that had it gotten some of us thinking about cutting the amount of paper that we were using and whatnot, and so it's starting to see some of that benefit.
I sort of recall the last couple of years when scanning of some of these documents, especially the ones at the beach were
Yep.
mentioned, that one of the problems you had was confidentiality of some of the documents.
Yes.
Is that, how are you going to get around that problem now?
Yeah, that's absolutely an issue with these, and certainly anyone that scans those is going to have to go through whatever the normal special ed process is for ensuring that that they're authorized to see them.
Okay, thanks.
Tom, I guess the short response is, we regard the confidentiality electronically the same way we do it as far as paper is concerned. So it would be the same process, we're just trading electrons for ink.
If I remember correctly, I thought the problem was you had to have only certain people could basically feed the
That's-
paper into the.
And
stamp.
that's the way it would work.
Yeah.
Tom, when we spoke about this at the tech committee, one of the things is, first of all, what this does at first is stop the bleeding. So all the new stuff will be scanned in by the special ed department as they're doing it.
No, I'm in favor. I'm just.
No, I'm just saying, but that was the confidentiality portion of it. It would stop any future growth of the beach downstairs, and then they would work on the second part of how it would be implemented on the other part. And the other part of it is not only the special education records, there are records that we need from the financial office that can be scanned in also.
It's the
So-
same sort of solution, just by way of information that we use to move digital portfolio information from, the student's machine to the final destination.
Okay.
And just before we move on, Peter, I just want to ask you, and I know Jay brought this up a few times in the past about looking at those low-ticket items and moving them out of the capital lease and just buying them outright. I'd appreciate it if, between now and I guess our next January 6th or whenever the open budget meeting is, if we take a look at what some of the impact would that be. I think there's a couple candidates here that we should probably think about moving out. So, anything else for Sean? And if not,
Threshold number you have?
I don't have a threshold number in mind. I think that at some point you sit and say, yeah, $1,000 or 500. I think the biggest threshold is going to be if you move all the $1,000 items out and it comes out to $114,000, we've got to reconsider that. But we'll take a look at it at that point. So, thanks, Peter. Sean, thanks so much, and thanks for everything that you do around here. We appreciate it. And with that, we shall move on to
Library media.
library meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
That's my job tonight.
Apparently.
Master of Ceremonies? MC Nate.
MC Nate. Which is better than MC Hammer. Good point. Hi, Sue. I'm Peachy. How are you?
Minute, just to
Take your time.
get my,
You always bring a lot of stuff. A true librarian at heart.
I have to recluse myself from this.
No, this you
I've been under a lot of stress over
Yeah.
this one.
I bet you will. Haven't gone gray
well, if
from
you would indulge me, I guess I will indulge you as you leave.
Yeah, at least they didn't walk in front of you.
I would,
Show.
I thought he was leaving too. You may recollect that last year I had a title for my presentation. It was called Bigfoot, the Endangered Tree Octopus, and the Karaoke Machine. So I thought I would also title this year's presentation. But before I get to this, I thought you'd like an update on the Bigfoot story. You may have heard that during the past year, there was great excitement in the country and especially at our household when there was the strong possibility that some evidence was going to be trotted out that Bigfoot really existed. But unfortunately, it was a hoax, and there is no Bigfoot that we yet know of. But I would like to update you that last year, I think I told you there were something like 6 million sites if you Googled surface web. I did it this morning, and there are now 8,730,000 hits on the term Bigfoot. But I went to one subject directory that's also available on Surface Web. Using the same search term, I got one hit. And it was a vetted and juried hit that had an annotation for me. So I'd like you to kind of bear that in mind as we go along tonight, that part of the work that the program I have the pleasure to administer does is to make sure that kids understand that there are different ways to go about searching for information. So at any rate, tonight's presentation is called A Do-Over. Satisficing, that is a made-up term, but I didn't make it up, an academia made it up. Satisficing, Charles Osgood, and Making Bricks. So I'd like to ask you to turn to your budget books if you wish. Page 641 begins the budget overview and executive summary for library media technology. And what you are looking at is a thing called a word cloud. I took this budget overview and I pasted this text into a little applet that's available on the web called Wordle. And this word cloud is what it gave me back. And I'd like a do-over on it. So I'd like a do-over on my executive summary, because in no way, shape, manner, or anything whatsoever did I intend technology to be the dominant theme of my presentation. I think technology is a great thing. I also think it's a terrible thing at times. And I think that we need to be very cautious in our use of it, and I like to think that our program, along with other programs in the district, do use technology wisely and try to understand where the dominoes are going to fall. But technology is not the end-all, be-all of what this program is about. And if you'll, Peter, take me to the next slide. Here's my first do-over. I took only the first few paragraphs of the executive summary and put it into Wordle, and it looked a little better to me. I felt a little better about it, and finally, if Peter will go to my next slide, I put in a vision statement that we use, and here it is. There is a new fluency required to be successful in the information age. In addition to traditional literacies, students must also be able to use information resources and technology to communicate, participate, and produce results. Our work focuses on ensuring that our students not only survive, but also thrive in the information age, because they've had the opportunity to benefit from an instructional approach that carefully considers the design of research units to help students fully apply and develop the skill sets needed and engage in meaningful learning experiences. So I liked this do-over better because students suddenly came to the forefront, and that is really what this program is about. So now I'd like to ask Peter to go back to the budget book for a minute, and we'll hold the final slides on this presentation and walk you through what's been happening in library media and technology and what we'd like to have happen in the future. The library media technology program includes the school library media programs, the elementary computer education program, middle school computer education in terms of the curriculum lab and mobile lab support, high school computer education in terms of the curriculum lab and tech-rich classroom support, professional development and technology integration through Teachers Academy, web, video, and radio support. The executive summary indicates that we strive to ensure that all students and staff are effective users of ideas, information, and technology. The library media technology program are inextricably part of the instructional process. School library media centers provide comprehensive collections of resources to support the curriculum, to promote an appreciation of reading, to develop information literacy and technology skills. The library media specialists and our technology trainer integrationists work collaboratively with teachers to design instruction and develop projects that reinforce these skills. I'd like another do-over on this paragraph, and I'd like to really underscore what probably I should have underscored before, that there is no way that the library media specialists and the technology trainer integrationists can work collaboratively with teachers to design instruction and develop projects that reinforce these skills without the fact that we have wonderful support staff members who do the daily work in our school library media centers and as computer ed assistants to allow the school library media specialists and technology trainer integrationists to have more direct contact with students and teachers. We have computer technologies and curriculum labs, classrooms in the libraries where they're considered essential skills of modern learning environment. And additionally, we provide web, video, and radio services through this program to assure effective and timely delivery of information to our learning community. Among our major service responsibilities our intellectual and physical access to the library media centers and technology resources, information literacy, research, and technology skills developed through assured learning experiences, individual instruction and guidance in the use of materials, including emerging technologies, online and electronic resources and research assistance, development of the lifelong appreciation of learning promoted through reading, viewing, and listening. Again, collaboration with teachers on instructional design and instructional units, selection of materials and resources to align with curriculum objectives, training of faculty and staff in the effective use of resources and technologies, and coordination and distribution of audiovisual and technology equipment. Our program, like all other programs that are part of the Londonderry School District, are aligned to our strategic plan. Specifically, the most important area, I'm on page 642. Specifically, the most important area that we have connection with is curriculum instruction and assessment. And during the past year, we have continued to expand and assured information, communication, technology, research opportunities. We have been working specifically with 4th and 5th grade teachers this year and doing some scaffolding at the middle school to make sure that our kids have every opportunity and more opportunities to practice the research process. And I'll get into that a little more later. We also have a responsibility to ensure that we develop our programs and align them with state standards and with emerging national standards. To that end, we have been revising local benchmarks, and we'll be bringing those forward very shortly to the Curriculum Coordinating Council. We have a responsibility to make sure that people are ethical users of information. We have updated and published a new copyright handbook, revised the staff and student acceptable use policies, or in the process of rolling those out. We will be, in fact, next week doing a video on effective searching on the web and educating parents about acceptable use policy. We have been implementing and identifying curriculum access points in the curriculum so that we can expand opportunities for kids to develop research skills. As you know, we've been very involved in the development and use of action research throughout the district, and we're continuing that. We are also providing training opportunities to teachers in development of their web pages, which continue to expand. We have been instructing them through Teachers Academy in opportunities to use some aspects of Web 2.0. Again, Teachers Academy is a very important part of what we do, and provides our teachers with in-house opportunities to really utilize and learn skills that they can immediately apply in the classroom. And of course, we also have many of our goals and objectives tied to the area of communication because of involvement with the internet, our presence at londonderry.org, our presence on the local access channel 21 and WLLOLP. So all of those things are part and parcel of what we're doing, and as we developed our budget, we considered a number of things. First of all, the school district's educational goals and school board policies come into play in the development of this budget. Again, state accreditation, state standards, accreditation standards, national guidelines and standards are looked at to make sure that Londonderry is positioned to ensure that its kids are positioned to compete in a global marketplace. We also go back on an annual basis and do a critical review of where we've been, what the history shows us, and what we will need to be doing if we're to move forward. There are many times we collapse funding on certain areas and expand it in others. That was the same case this year. Regrettably, we have collapsed some funding for some support staff in our program. That is of concern to us because I'm not quite sure how that's going to impact us. If you look at the numbers, and Peter, you don't have to go to this, but if you look at the numbers and the statistics that we have provided to you, the library media centers are very dynamic environments. We check out a lot of books. We have a very liberal circulation policy. present, we do not set limits on the number of books kids can check out. I would have to tell you that I think they set limits on the number of books they decide to check out sometimes, but we don't. We may have to revisit that if we don't have the opportunity to keep up with it. But we'll see how that plays out. It is of concern to me because I just can't get my head around it and what it might look like. We did make significant adjustments based on enrollment in terms of the operating budgets at the schools. And all of the school library media specialists, the technology trainer integrationists were asked to back up their requests for funding with documentation of need and to prove whenever possible with supporting statistics or research. That led to a development of a list of priorities, and our priorities are most importantly, again, in the area of instructional and learning resources, so that we are able to maintain appropriate resources for the students and teachers. Equipment, Sean has indicated to you a number of areas in which we have a mutual interest in terms of instructional technology in the classrooms, but we also have an obligation to support with audiovisual equipment, and those things are included in this portion of the budget. Some of them have been removed to the lease, and I suppose will be looked at there. Specifically, we have been investigating the use of television technology in the classroom. And notice I said television, not monitor technology. But that is because we have an impending move in the marketplace from analog to digital television and high-definition television. And frankly, it seems to us, from our perspective, that that's a significant impact on the delivery of services that we have an obligation to do. So we have been investigating the use instead of LCD projectors that can handle the high-definition scan rates that are coming down the pike, and that have a far better ability to provide an appropriate visual environment than traditional television technology. We have, of course, I'm sure everybody is wondering, are schools going to go to flat-screen TVs? I don't think we could possibly afford to do that. We are and have at the back of the executive summary, you will see two initiative plans that we're looking at. One is no cost this year, but we will be investigating streaming video audio content. Anticipating that we may have to go in this direction as opposed to a continuing investment in technology at the classroom level. The significance of this is that instead of owning the content, we will be leasing the content on an annual basis, as it were. We'll be paying on an annual basis for the same content. So this is something that we really need to think about. I'd like to point out some significant impacts, changes, and cost avoidances in the budget. If you would look at page 644. This budget, if you'll excuse me, I need to take a...
Mr. Chairman, we've been going at this for about an hour and 15 minutes. Could we take like a 5-minute bathroom break or something for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll reconvene at 8:20 on that clock. Thank you all.
said to use it.
We're back. Thanks for coming back on time. I appreciate that. Ms. Ballard, all yours.
So saying, I'll just point out some major budget impact changes, cost avoidances. Go to the budget analysis report, and then I'll wrap up.
Peter, you're giving me a headache. Slow down already.
Where to go?
You want to go to page 644, Peter, please?
Get less movement in an airplane. Little one.
Comes after 6:43, Peter.
Thought we had a land using the letter. It was really useful.
Get him glasses so he can see the page number.
One of the things that my seaplane, my flying boat.
Peter?
Old, so you had no, you could only use power.
6 and 2/4.
44, Peter. Okay, the major
Theory was you went in the water
budget impacts, changes, and cost avoidances.
to the ice.
I think one of the few lines that may be up in this budget has to do with our software accounts, and that is because of specific considerations for SPED software and assistive adaptive needs. We also have ongoing costs to upgrade software and renew licensing for critical instructional programs throughout the district. Repair and replacement of aging and failing equipment. We have made overall adjustments for lower enrollments at Moose Hill Elementary Schools and the middle school. We are building collections because of science curriculum implementation and reading program technology requirements. And also, we have had some changes in our budget because of the PC platform migration. Specifically, we have a lot of training to do with teachers in the 4th and 5th grade level. Cost avoidances, the copyright manual is provided online versus in print form. With Sean, the ed tech folks and the information tech folks produced a user's guide to technology, and that's provided online versus in print form. And we do have the ability to use the State Library Overdrive audio books via the Leach Library, which is used almost exclusively for SPED and 504 students, which is a cost saving. We utilize email or digital formats whenever possible for department program communications and operations. We have there are two internal websites. One is carved out for the distribution of information and notices and the distribution and aggregation of numerous survey instruments. And we have begun a funding mechanism through LEO programming sales, which helps us to support some of LEO's functions.
Excuse me, Sue. Ron's got a question.
Go ahead, keep going, I've got one question to go.
On page, I'm sorry, Peter, now you have to go to page 711. I decided to move ahead.
711, Pete.
711, which is the budget analysis report. The current year budget is $229,668. The proposed budget is $224,000, $497. This is for operating expenses, learning materials, computer materials, software, improvement of instructional services, which is professional development, repair, maintenance, supplies, equipment, dues and fees. We're down slightly, and again, that is most of any increases almost specifically related to our need to support special ed populations. The specific line items are included in the following pages. I imagine that people are most interested in the items that are on page 719 and 720, which are equipment, a number of which were moved to the lease. But again, this is the year 2008, and technology plays a great role in the classroom environment, in the learning environment. And this is the portion of the budget outside of computer technologies where those requests are made. We specifically have to do some replacement for specific courses at the high school in the replacement account for vocational media, vocational video for mass media and graphic arts. There are some big ticket items there, but those really need to be purchased because they're in direct support of the classroom. And that's really what I have, except I would like, if you will indulge me, to conclude my remarks, and then I'd be happy to answer questions in terms of what I told you the name of this presentation was. So I think you understand the do-over portion. I'd like to explain to you what satisficing is. Satisficing is a term coined by Herbert Simon in 1955 and frequently used in the information science community. It is defined as selecting or stopping in research at results that are good enough. Students especially stop their searching at good enough. Although their teachers and teacher librarians would like to believe otherwise, students are not always motivated to continue research beyond good enough to find the best information that is out there. When I was reminded of this fact, I remembered a poem that Charles Osgood, CBS Radio, wrote back in the 90s, I think it was. And when I went in search of it, I realized that he had just recently upgraded it in September. And that was because of a report that came out from the Strong America Schools Foundation entitled Diploma to Nowhere, which is a report about remediation that is now occurring at the college level with over 30% of students entering the nation's universities and colleges. So if you will indulge me, I'd like to read to you the transcript from Charles Osgood's program of September 17th of this year, the Osgood File. I'm Charles Osgood, not really.
Where's your bow tie?
According to a new study, 1/3 of American college students arrive on campus now having to enroll in remedial classes to try to bring them up to speed on material they were supposed to have learned in high school. In a report called Diploma to Nowhere, the cost of this remedial effort is estimated at $2.3 billion to $2.9 billion a year. This seems to bear out a point I once tried to make in a poem called Pretty Good. The Pretty Good poem started out, there once was a pretty good student who sat in a pretty good class and was taught by a pretty good teacher who always let pretty good pass. He wasn't terrific at reading, he wasn't a whiz-bang at math, but for him, education was leading straight down a pretty good path. Many years have now passed since I wrote about that credibility gap in their knowledge, and now we are told the gap's grown several-fold, which is clear when they get into college. This new report says too many fall short, and remedial classes they're needing. The actual path is remedial math and even remedial reading. Remedial courses in studying skills are now in some colleges taught. Today's high school grads often realize now that they don't know as much as they thought. Used to be, pretty good was a high enough standard for high schools that many went to. But they find out in college that pretty good knowledge of basic skills simply won't do. Even then, pretty good, in fact, was true for the most of the pretty good mob. But the first time they knew that they lacked it was when they looked for a pretty good job. Nowadays, more kids go to college. That's what they're expected to do. But many now know when to college they go, what they don't know can hurt them there too. The original poem ended like this. There once was a pretty good nation, pretty proud of the greatness it had, but which learned much too late. If you want to be great, pretty good is in fact pretty bad. Now, Peter, if you'll go to my last slide. Mr. Osgood's comments then reminded me of another person's comments I heard many years ago. That was Richard Peck, the Newbery Award winning author, who wrote a poem called The Teacher's Prayer, which concluded, "I'm a teacher. I want to make bricks. Would you give me some straw?" That's the end of my presentation. Be happy to answer your questions.
Thanks, Sue. Ron?
Sue, you spoke a lot about technology. What about the library and books? Has that, are we buying, has that number stayed the same? What are we doing in the area of the library itself for the books and stuff like that, our collections?
Our collections are at what I would call maintenance levels. We have about the same number of books and on an annual basis. Depending on what curriculum changes have occurred, we review the collections, we make those adjustments. We make adjustments for worn or books that need to be replaced, and we make adjustments for books that need to be removed from the collection because they contain misinformation and are out of date. But I don't see our collections expanding beyond about the size of what they are now, mainly because of the linear number of shelves that we have. We would have to expand those in order to house more books. And the second thing is that a good part of the portion of the funds that we used to spend on books, we now spend on subscription databases. When I began my presentation, I talked about the surface web, Google, and things like that. But fully 85% of digital information is not visible on surface web. It's only visible through subscription or through membership to digital content. And that's what we have been spending a lot of our money on, are subscriptions to content that has been through an editorial process, that is vetted, that is high quality, journal articles, research articles, that sort of thing. So the library collection remains and always, I think, will have a print format, but part of that collection is also now digital content. And that is the reason for looking also at that initiative, whether or not we should start to look at the audio-visual portion of our collections, which is now in DVD or video cassette. We may have to move to a streaming content so that we avoid having to, every few years, replace technology because the formats change. For example, it won't be very long before we can't buy a DVD unless it's Blu-ray, and we don't have a Blu-ray player. So that sort of thing. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. And second question I have is, you spoke about the science changing what you're purchasing, also the new science curriculum. How is that affecting what you're doing?
How's it affecting what we're doing in terms of instruction?
No,
Or
in terms of purchasing
in terms of purchasing?
in the library. What are you doing now because we have a new science curriculum?
We have to review the science collections, the applied and pure science collections, and look to see if the books that we have align with the topics that are covered through the science curriculum, and grade if they do, and backfill if they don't. I know the three elementary school library media specialists were working with Mark and with the science committee to determine, in fact, had representation on the science committee to make sure that we understood where we would have to do that backfilling and gap filling, and which trade books we could pull into the collection that would support what was happening in terms of the classroom instruction, as well as other materials that would support audiovisual materials and the like.
If you looked at your budget, how much of it, you brought up a couple of things, and let's take just the library portion of this, not the classroom portion of it. How much is spent on hard copy books, and how much is spent on the subscriptions that you have there, and is that going to be going more towards the subscriptions as you go along here?
Again, what we try and do in the line item budget is to try and give you an overview of what we're spending. And if you look on page, just so that you can also see it yourself. Yeah, beginning on page 717. And starting, I'm just looking at the Matthew Thornton line toward the bottom of the page. There's a line that says books, replacement, collection development, and professional. And that is budgeted at $10,500. And then you will see online subscription resources at $1,000. So at the elementary level, it's more in the print collection than the online collection. But if you look at the high school's budget, you will see we're asking for book replacement, collection development, professional, $14,300, and online resources of $23,000. And that is because of the changing nature, especially in the pure and applied sciences and areas like that, where the information is doubling every 6 months. So you have to go to an online resource as opposed to a print resource if you want to make sure that kids are getting accurate information.
No, if
So
you,
that it's one of these things, it's more print, and then it scaffolds up to more digital content the higher up we go.
do you see this, I guess I'm trying, if you look in the future 5 years from now, you see this, the gap at the elementary school kind of getting
Less on print.
print and more on the subscriptions, and you see more at the high school kind of going up here because the information is coming out so fast? I'm trying to figure out where we're going.
I understand. Right now, it depends on where formats are going, and they're all over the place. This is a big debate in the information science world, is what format is going to take hold. And again, as we're looking forward, which is why we think we have to investigate streaming, it may be an on-demand delivery of content, which is troubling in a way, because as I indicated, you will never own the content. You will have to purchase the content on an annual basis. So you have to make decisions on an annual basis as to, and that might mean less breadth of the collection.
Last item? Sue, most of the other departments, and you probably got the most equipment that we have, it would be nice for you to start laying out a 5-year plan for replacements of, it's, you've got a lot of it there, and we should be looking in all seriousness at some of the stuff that we have to replace on a regular basis, the camcorders, stuff like that. We should be able to levelize our expenses over a period of time and say, hey, these are the stuff that we have to do every year, like we do with the computers in the classrooms and the uniforms and the band equipment.
Be happy to do that.
I'd appreciate something like that. And you know how much I love TV sets.
Me too.
But in all seriousness, and I know we're changing the format and we're going
Yeah,
more to the,
we will not be replacing.
I know, but we'll be going to replace them with the projectors, and that seems to be the wave of the future type of deal. So that would be a good thing to do, so we can see as a school board and a budget committee exactly, what we're doing, that we can have things leveled out over a 5 to 7 year period.
Well, the one thing about content streaming is that it can stream into any computer, so
Okay.
that the computer becomes a delivery device in the classroom environment, as previously on one TV, you might have several computers. So that's a little more.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Behind you.
Sorry.
To pick up on what Sue said in part of the conversation, I think as we go forward, one of the advantages of perhaps using some of the thin clients will be our ability down the road to put more computers in the classroom, as well as additional computers, let's say, in the library, to take advantage of some of this video streaming. So somewhere during this period, I think we'd see an increase in the number of thin clients, computers that we're purchasing to take advantage of the streaming technology and to update it. So I think that is one of the other things that I think we're talking about. Because one of the conversations we had in technology committee, if I remember correctly, was as we go forward, looking at what we would consider to be a critical number of computers in each classroom to allow us to take advantage of this kind of streaming technology and bring that more to the classroom. But at the same time, I think what becomes even more critical is something that Sue's been working on the last number of years, and library media people have, and that is kids' ability to seek out information from various databases and be able to make legitimate decisions on what's real, what's not real, what's fiction, what's opinion, and so on, to become really effective users of the technology as it flows more and more into the classroom. And we kind of wind up using this more than the quote-unquote traditional research that we're used to, going and getting books and so on and so forth. That becomes really more important. And that's one of the things that library media people have been working on, an intensive kind of thing.
Let me add, I think one of the biggest thing that the library media people, in my opinion, has been working on is the fact of, you kind of mentioned it was the legal use of material or plagiarism, and teaching students right through from elementary school to the high school what plagiarism is. And just because you took a statement and changed the words around, you're still plagiarizing it. And I think that's one of the things that, you see that happening as children go to college. I think that's the most valuable tool. If they come out of it with that knowledge, I think that's a very beneficial knowledge for them to know.
When you talk about subscription services, and streaming of information, can you give an example, a concrete example?
Yes. We subscribe to a digital content database called Opposing Viewpoints at the high school. It is heavily used by students in the social studies area as well as in English when they are looking at opposing sides to a controversial issue. It allows kids to have access to high-quality journal articles and newspaper articles that would not otherwise be available to them if we did not have the subscription. For those of you who have students in our schools, especially at the high school and the middle school, the kids come home with a bookmark that gives them the name of all the databases and the passwords that they can have access to these databases 24/7, 365. We can't publish the passwords on our website or at large, but we give the information readily to kids, and that's an example of a subscription database. When I'm talking about streaming content, I'm talking more about something like, presently we own the series Slim Goodbody at the elementary schools. It's a series with someone who talks about the various systems of the human body, the circulation system, the digestive system, et cetera, et cetera. We have it on DVD. Teachers check it out and are able to use it in their classroom. As opposed to purchasing next generation format of that when we can no longer buy regular DVD players, and that day is coming pretty soon because everything's moving to Blu-ray. We would either have to buy it in Blu-ray, or we could choose to subscribe to a service where we, on an annual basis, pay a fee for the ability to stream that content on demand, much like somebody would call up a movie on demand or an event on demand through their cable services. Does that help?
Anything else? No? Sue, thanks so much. And every time you make a presentation, I realize I'm like an 8-track guy in a Blu-ray world.
But you got a sweet Camaro convertible.
Well, that's true too. And you look at some of the younger folks who sit there and go, 8-track, huh? High school?
Yes, sir. Mr. Parrott?
I'm sorry, Reed, did you have something?
Well, about what you just said.
And
Oh,
somehow I think I'm going to regret this.
Yeah,
Phonograph?
it'll make you feel young.
And listen, I could have brought up phonograph with Mr. Clark.
Fix the slide rule type of guy.
talking about IT and
Yeah.
technology, I remember my father talking to me in the early 30s about when he went to a meeting such as this, and the discussion was primarily as to whether to continue to use a Swiss Army knife to sharpen the pencils or buy a pencil sharpener.
Oh, God.
Believe me, that's the truth.
That's
did they
great.
choose?
Thanks, Reed.
Wouldn't it have been nice if they had had all of this and you all had approved everything that they are talking about? Because I didn't have it.
It'd be interesting. Where's Jay? Oh, there he is. Thanks, Reed.
Well, I use them today. Actually, yeah, we use proportional wheels, which that's all they do.
Jay brought reinforcements.
Good evening. Yes, I did. I don't have a title to my presentation or poems, but I brought 2 relief pitchers, so I'm hoping to give you 7 strong innings and let my setup and
We'll
closer
see how they do. Maybe
finish.
we'll sign them up with the Yankees. We
That-
need all the help we can get. Yes, we could.
You can
That
find
was a
the
bad
high
start
school.
with the comment in the back.
I know. That's it. If we go to extra innings, I'm going to have to call on Artie or Katie, so we could be in trouble. You can find the high school in the budget book between pages 215 and 242. Our current operating budget is $604,416. The proposed budget for FY 2010 is $616,265. That is a difference of plus $11,849. Our enrollment this year is 1,813 students. We anticipate a slight dip in that number for next year at 1,790. The $11,849 increase can be attributed to the following accounts. Vocation high school tuition, which was increased by $22,250, and that reflects $760 per MST student and $720 per Alvin student. It also reflects increased cost and increased number of students, going from 145 we currently have going to those 2 schools to 165 students. The other line item of note is Office of the Principal NEASC, which has increased $20,000 to budget for the 2010 decennial reaccreditation visit. This is a one-time fee covering the next 10 years at an average cost of $2,000 per year. These 2 items reflect the largest increases in the entire high school budget at $42,250. Without the career and technical education tuition increase and New England Association of Schools and Colleges decennial visit, our FY 2010 budget would reflect a request of $574,015. This would be a decrease of $30,401 from the current budget. This proposed budget still supports current programming in all our curriculum areas and maintains all current pathways, AP courses, and our adult ed offerings. It also allows us to make responsible progress on an equipment replacement plan and updating textbooks and software where necessary. Just to close, as you know, Londonderry High School was named the 2000 New Hampshire Secondary School of Excellence, which means we are currently the reigning high school of the year. And that's because of the outstanding programs and services we provide to our students through the continued support of the school board and community. Past budgets and this proposed budget have assisted us in achieving a dropout rate that's 1%. Colleges and universities across the country accepting and enrolling 90% of our graduating students. A decrease in disciplinary actions, truancy, vandalism, and the additional programming that we have for our at-risk, vocational, special education, honor, and advanced placement students. Your support is obviously paramount to the success of the high school and what we've achieved in the past, along with your anticipated support in the future, which will ensure sustained success and allow us to remain one of the premier high schools in the state of New Hampshire. I just want to quickly add some of the cost-saving measures for the high school that I'd like to include here are that and our curriculum coordinators have done an outstanding job working with vendors, and we have been reselling outdated textbooks back to the vendors. We've received preferred customer savings, discounts, bundled pricing, bid pricing, free shipping. We've purchased generic items as opposed to brand name items and received volume discounts. You also know that our online correspondence is now for over 1,500 families, and that's at a cost savings of $200 per mailing with our parent email blast and electronic notices. We also have our teacher handbooks and student handbooks online for parent and student access, community access. We are offered prorated refunds from career and technical education should students withdraw or remove from those programs. And we have our students who are going to colleges in any number of the 22 articulation agreements we have, which total scholarships of $964,000 over 4 years. And this year, I'm proud to say we have a huge recycling effort to go green. We have 2 bins in every classroom, and I think there'll be future cost savings there. So, obviously, we're very proud of our high school, and we've carefully built a budget around its needs, remaining mindful of the state of the economy. So, at this time, we would welcome any questions you may have.
Thanks, Jay. Start at this end.
I'm good.
I'll let you think.
Yeah.
Ron? Ben?
Any observations or responses to Sue's poem regarding a pretty good school?
Well, we certainly don't want to settle for being a pretty good school. I think there's tremendous value in considering, and it's not arrogant to say that we're one of the premier high schools in the state, and that's for a reason, because of the hard work of our outstanding staff, our administration, the community support, the board support, and the leadership with the superintendent. So I would say, yeah, certainly it resonates with us that we don't want to settle for being pretty good at anything. And I think this accreditation coming up next year will validate that. Well, we have an independent team coming in to look at what we do and take a comprehensive evaluation of what we do well, make suggestions for areas of growth, and look at a long-range plan for us and help us make those decisions.
Jay, when you have the accreditation coming in, I would assume you and your staff talked about what your vulnerabilities are.
Sure.
What are they?
At this time, we want to certainly expand in the areas, and some of the recommendations made from the prior visit and looking at it was continuing to enhance course offerings, expand AP offerings if we can. The auditorium certainly will surface again as far as the need for one in the future. So I'm pleased to see that work's getting underway to look at that and make proposals for that. We have 7 committees reflecting on each of the standards that we're being evaluated against and looking at areas for growth in each of those. And actually, Kim is a co-chair on the steering committee, so she can feel free to jump in if I'm missing anything.
I think one of the things we're doing as part of our self-study right now, we're just in the beginning stages of the self-study, and the goal of the self-study is to look at what are our strengths, and as Jason mentioned, as a school of excellence, we know we've got a lot of strengths. Now what our task ahead of us is to look at where are our weaknesses, and are we meeting the needs of our full range of students? Are we challenging those AP students, those students heading off to those super competitive 4-year schools, and are we meeting the needs of those students who are struggling a little bit and helping them get to a point where they're not going to be satisfied being good enough, but rather we're going to help them meet their full potential so they can go on to the collegiate level or go into the workforce well prepared for the future.
We're working closely with Mark in putting electronic versions of our curriculum tools available so that we know we have an articulated version of what we do in our curriculum. Certainly the visitation committee will look at that, how we're meeting competencies and what we're doing to address that. So in some aspects we're a work in progress with some of those things, but we're pretty confident going in.
Thank you.
On Tuesday, the superintendent talked about reductions in personnel of 15 professional instructors, of 15 support staffs. You have right now a school that has less than 1% dropout rate, as 90% or better students going on to secondary education, and in my opinion, creates leaders and true community members. Our students, I think we can be proud of all our young adults in the high school. Do you believe that you can continue with those items as future goals with what's been proposed?
We do believe, and I've worked closely with the superintendent to look at that, and we're really choosing to look at it as 10 sections, of finding 10 sections in reductions with all the sections that we offer across the board. So when you take that perspective, I think we can evaluate that and make decisions based off of sections and careful scheduling and planning and looking at how we can utilize and pool our resources together to get to that point. Certainly through attrition or other factors that surface, we again hope to still meet that demand, and if we don't, we would certainly come back and talk to you about that.
Thank you.
Jay, how are you going to measure your success in that, or your failure at the ability to do that, to absorb those 2 teachers in those 10 sections? How are you going to know?
Sure. Well, and I'll defer to the super here as well, but certainly, again,
Really, it becomes a matter of, part of it becomes a matter of mathematics in seeing how many kids are signed up for certain courses and whether or not there are courses that we can offer, perhaps not semester 1, but semester 2, depending on the number of kids that are enrolled. The other part would be, too, if, for instance, I'll give you an example. Let's say we had 2 kids that were interested in taking advanced calculus 35 or whatever it is. And we could try and get that done in an independent study as opposed to a particular section or class. The other thing, too, is that what we do is we take a look at the numbers of students that would be in a class. Obviously, we're capped on some of the science courses. We also have, for lack of a better term, a self-imposed cap on the number of kids in some of our replacement courses. And we also have an obligation, if kids are in a sequence, to continue to provide that sequence of courses for those students. So after we see the registrations, we'll take a look, we'll see how the numbers fall out, we'll see how we can manipulate the schedule to allow kids to do it, because sometimes, especially with singletons, you wind up with conflicts in the schedule, and so you work on that. And sometimes you can look to accommodate, and let's say, for instance, where we would have preferred to have 14 kids, I'm just picking numbers at random, 14 kids in one section and 15 in another. It may be possible to run a class of 29 and eliminate a section, depending on what the subject is and whether or not we can schedule it. So there are a variety of ways of looking at it, and as Jay had mentioned too, after we go through that entire exercise, if we find we have a couple of sections here and a couple of sections here, and we feel it's important to be able to provide those programming, those courses or services to the kids, we'd come back to the school board and say we have an issue and we need half of a teacher or 3/4 of a teacher or something along those lines. And we'll also look at creative ways of using staff to address those issues. I think right off the top of my head, we should be able to do it with 10 less sections. If it turns out for one reason or another, we're not able to accommodate that, I think we'll be able to address it. One other point, as far as looking at the section numbers, since we started our flex/adult ed program, 232 students have been able to graduate on time. Okay? Without that, those 232 students would have filled up seats in sections, all right, because we didn't have the opportunity to offer those programs after school, okay, or during summer. So when you look at the flex program, the adult ed program, the summer school program, all of which are fee-based programs, too, I might add, that we get some money back for, it does, in effect, become a cost-saving mechanism because you don't have kids repeating courses during the regular day program and taking up seats. So let's, for sake of argument, and I'm just picking a number at random, let's say there were 10 kids that failed geometry, and they didn't take advantage of summer school or didn't take advantage of the evening program. That's 10 seats in geometry I have to find for those kids. Now, 10 may not seem like a large number, but 10 kids in a certain subject at a certain level could create a flop over, which requires you to have another section. all right? So by providing those other opportunities, you avoid having that other section. And then when you think of it that way, that's 20% of a teacher. Okay, so when you take all these factors and you put them in play, I think we've got an excellent chance of being able to provide the same program that we're providing this year, same opportunities we're providing this year, with possibly 10 less sections. If the numbers don't work out for whatever reason, then we'll come back and say, we've got an issue here and we're gonna have to play around with it. But I think it's a good starting point, and I think it's part of a culmination of all the actions and activities we have been taking over the years that would allow us to do this, and taking advantage of some alternative learning opportunities. If we can't do that, and we feel it's necessary, as I said before, we'll come back to you guys.
Thanks, Nate. Ron and then Ben.
Two things. Doesn't also the students that go to Alvern and Manchester Tech play into that same logic?
Yes, they do.
And we have
Yes,
an
they do.
increase in population there, so that's one area that will play into that logic.
Yep.
Second question I have for you, Jay,
What logic?
the idea of the sections. You have children going over to Manchester and Alvern,
they're not
so there's
here.
part of the day in classes that they're not filling, so therefore there's seats available there.
If I can give another example of that too, which is probably those students that are going to a university and getting a high school credit, in addition to going to the university. They're not in our seats, they're in their seats, but they're still getting the credit.
That's correct.
Bridges program there.
Jay, I'm going to bring you back to a technology question. X2, one of the major reasons that we went to was scheduling. How is it working?
Better. I mean, we hit some glitches early on, and we're figuring that out. In fact, we're meeting with Mike Dolphin currently to begin looking at it as far as course names, looking at some of the features that it has, and what we have to do to accommodate the schedule. But absolutely, it's going to become seamless without any blips as we go through. And a lot of it is ours. That conversion from Win School into X2 took some time, and I certainly credit Sean Coe, who's been outstanding, and his staff in working with us and really being the first line of defense should we run into any troubles. But it's actually become somewhat exciting at the high school, because as our staff is learning new features, they're sharing that, and we're bringing it up in our faculty meetings through emails, and they're just able to see all of these unique ways to operate more efficiently.
Okay, how about specifically the scheduling module? Because that used to be a horror under the last program that we had up there.
Right.
How's that working for you guys?
It really is working better. I mean, Mike took the lead with that scheduling, and he and Mr. Salidas, I'm kind of glad he's here if he does want to speak to it. It's gone very well.
Oh, he not here, just,
We
now see
we
what
woke
you
him
did?
up.
For an extra innings. because
We got the extra innings in.
thought we
Now
could
you
close
see
it
what
out
you did?
without him.
To get right to your question, we at times with Win School were scheduling it what I would call 85% or 87% of the requests that were met. Okay, kids put in a request, we hit at 87, 88. If we ever hit 90, we were like jumping up and down, way to go, way to go. I think we're at 92 this year. And in that 92, it should actually be higher, but some kids, when they filled out their request form, put in more classes than they could take. So they put in, instead of 8 classes, there's only 8 periods, so they, well, yeah, that might be good, this might be good. So they put in 8, 9, 10 things. So that, so they get 7 out of their 8, or 8, they get 8 classes filled, and then there's still 2 or 3 they didn't get. So that goes into the negative side of it. So we're over 90% this year, and we will be better at it. Is it a better scheduling module than what we had? We went from a 79 Pinto to a car with disc brakes, airbags, seat belts. So yes, it is. We're doing much, much better, and we will get better at it.
No offense to the
That's-
Pinto owners. either.
Probably had a CD.
But that's what we're looking for. Thank you. That's excellent.
I'd like to be, honestly, I'd like to be at 95%. And part of that would be us with saying, when the requests come in, the kid puts down 10 requests. You're not going to get 10. You only can get 8. So, let's figure that out. So that would be part of it. So
Excellent.
Thanks, Art.
Thank you.
Ben?
Yeah, I had hoped to ask this while the superintendent was out of the room, because I realized that he's required you to schedule this or budget this under strict standards, but what would you have asked for had we not been budgeting so tightly this year?
I mean, we were pretty close, to be quite honest.
You need some more coffee?
Close is a relative term.
Nate, I think I hear your phone ringing.
No, I'm serious.
Don't answer it.
The initial request was, I believe, 634, scaled back after my meeting with the superintendent.
Well, I'm talking about before the meeting with the superintendent.
Yeah, we came in at.
What initiatives would you have asked for funding?
You can be honest, Jay.
Certainly.
Remember, you're only a first-year principal,
Yeah,
okay,
this is the
so
rookie
don't
speaking.
feel
There
any
were-
pressure.
There were a few sets of textbooks we were hoping to get, and I recall the conversation. Going in, we were hoping to the Spanish sequencing, that we have a certain textbook with Spanish that is offered at level 4, 3, and 2, and we wanted to bring in one. And rightfully so, the superintendent wanted us to coordinate our efforts with the middle school to look at if they're taking Spanish and your Spanish 1 kids are taking Spanish, should they not be using the same book? You need to have that conversation before we just implement the Spanish 1 book. And I continued to press that, and the glasses came off, and and the voice raised a little bit, and I then stopped pushing that. But we obviously would recommend that text to come into play. Other texts in family and consumer science, basically it was things like that, hoping to get for our teachers.
Excellent.
John?
Just a quick question. You mentioned the adult ed program. Isn't there a graduation coming up?
There is, in January. I don't have the actual, if I had a calendar, I'd have the date in front of me. There is a graduation coming up for the fall class. It's a smaller fall class, but we anticipate total over the year about 30 students graduating from this program. And they're continuing to work with Mr. Dolphin. Thank you, Mr. Salidas, again. I can't read his writing, but he came through.
The high-tech version.
That's a
You love the
PA.
technology there.
That's Art's high-tech version.
Yeah, it's a Palm Pilot.
I have a dentist appointment on that day. That's not the,
Well,
that's
read
not the
that.
date of the,
Like the 20th, which you can still go to.
All right, well, you can let us know.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jay, thanks a lot. And by the way, he takes off his glasses a lot with us, too.
I could be in trouble tomorrow, Ben.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thought it was a veteran recovery there, Jay.
It takes a village, I have. This is great.
Following along, we will go to
Middle school. Music, I'm sorry.
Maestro Susi.
Okay.
How are you, Andy?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
Good, and you?
Good. If I could refer you to page 255. Over a couple of, I'd like to make a couple of comments. First of all, on behalf of the music department, I'm delighted to have this opportunity this evening to present the music budget request for the 2010 fiscal year. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the board, the superintendent, and the rest of the administration, I mean elementary right through secondary, for the support over the years. With your backing, we've provided countless students and their families with numerous wonderful musical experiences, and these are events that have developed self-discipline, nurtured multiple talents, and promoted self-confidence. In many respects, we feel we've developed a model program, and each year we continually strive to improve the various components of our offerings. I'd also like to take a moment and commend our music staff. I think we have a group of terrific music educators at each of the schools. I think the individual principals are proud of their concerts, their programs, and what they are able to produce. We're fortunate to have talented, energetic, and creative, dedicated people working with these students. From winter concerts, spring concerts, March concerts, from Music in Our Schools Month to jazz nights, coffee houses, Prism concerts, parades, halftime shows, all states, all kinds of festivals, competitions, and all the traveling that we do. I think that our music program has essentially become a year-long activity, and we're very proud of what the students have done. So I want to thank you folks again for that support. If you take a look at the executive summary, some of these stats that we have 934 students that are playing a band instrument right now. If you include the jazz kids, there's 1,001 students. We have 765 singing in a chorus, 184 string players. I think we have a pretty comprehensive program. We offer it all. At the elementary level, all the students are taking a music class. Each elementary school, in addition, offers band, beginning band, fifth graders, and as well as chorus and strings. The elementary strings are 71 between the three schools, 175 band combined, and a chorus of 260. So that's quite a bit of involvement in addition to their regular classes that they have. Middle school, we have 12 bands, 12 choruses, 3 orchestras. We're at 75% performance. The rest of the students take general music, which we're very happy with. I think that's a great number, and we're very pleased with that. At the high school level, we have 5 band periods, 4 concert band, 1 symphonic. We have 3 choral groups. We have 2 jazz groups. One's at 20 and one's at 35. That's a lot of students playing jazz, and it's great. The kids have a terrific time, and they're challenged, and that they have a wonderful opportunity. We also have music theory. We have basic piano techniques, and so we feel like we've got a lot going there. By the way, percentage-wise at the high school, we're at 28% involved with the music program. It's almost a third. That's pretty high, you know. And the band this year is 336, and you know, when we're traveling, we're still 9 buses and a truck and the whole thing. So we're really a production. We continue to get more invitations than we can accept. It's a nice thing, but it has its challenges, and the kids are awesome. And we're incorporating more technology as well. We're sending out email blasts to our families for different events coming up and stuff like that. And Friends of Music is as strong as ever. You know, there are almost 100 people per meeting. We've got a terrific network at that level helping us out. We had a great year last year, and we have a great year coming up. Last year in New York City, the kids took first place in New York for St. Patrick's Day Parade. They're going to return this year. Obviously, you all know about China, what a success that was, and we have all kinds of interested groups and families. And this program, in many ways, has changed the lives of a lot of people, too. Kids are friends. You know, it's just been really, really a neat thing. At the middle school, music is also required at 100%, and I think that pretty much covers that area. So the kids are really, in many respects, musical ambassadors. If you turn to page 256, and we can just take a quick look at the 5-year musical plan. This year, we were able to pick up some oboes, baritone sax, tenor sax. All these instruments are currently are being used. Next year, we're looking for the possibility of a baritone horn and a tuba. Rationale, we've got a baritone horn that just it's done. It's gone. The metal is, you know, we can't get the parts to fix it. And the tuba, again, we're in a growing situation with this many students involved with the program. So we throw that out there for your consideration. Page 258, the uniform, the band uniforms. I have to tell you, these uniforms are getting a lot of press coverage, and keeping these up with this 10 purchase a year, which goes up 3% annually, is one of the wisest moves, because we can keep up with this thing. And you know, band uniforms only fit correctly the first year. Then as seniors graduate, you get a new group of incoming 9th graders, and then you get the tall ones, and you get the small ones, and you get the larger kids, and so this has been really working out well for us. I'm going to switch over to page 261 and just go down some of the different things that we do. The first account we see is the repair maintenance, $3,400. That includes district. That's mostly piano tunings, but anything can come up. We need equipment repaired, amplifiers or whatever, and so that's what that money is there for. Conference miles is basically to cover all state and different festivals, because our attendance is a requirement. If our kids are going to participate, it's a requirement. I think we had 8 or 9 made Jazz All-State this year. We had 16, I believe, that made regular All-State. So this is an important part of our program. The next one I'm looking at is the middle school account at 10252 to cover music costs and supplies, as well as accessories, all kinds of things of that nature. And again, things can go on us. Drum heads. We've just started replacing drum heads at the high school. We've had the same drum head since the Rose Bowl 2004. Okay, we can get a lot of longevity out of that, but then it comes a point where your timbre is not the same anymore. So we got to fix that up. So this year we'll spend more money in 1 year for that kind of stuff than we will in another area. A timpani head goes $40, $50. Some things you wouldn't replace that every year, but there are a lot of variables, is what I'm trying to say. So that money generally takes care of us pretty well. not all the time, but we make it happen. Some things have to be delayed. The high school is $7,900, again, for supplies and music. And the elementary schools, for Matthew Thornton and South and North, I'm not sure if I left one out, Matthew Thornton, South and North, yeah. And that, again, classroom supplies, sheet music, band, string music, classroom charts, anything that might come up that needs to be, needs to go into the program. The other thing I was going to point out is music fees and dues. The $3,000 there goes to pay for participation fees for Allstate, or for maybe the Berkeley Jazz Festival registration fee, or the UNH Jazz Festival and stuff like that. Uniforms we already talked about, and student transportation, middle school and the high school to cover costs. And although we've been pretty lucky in that area, and we don't know how long that's going to last, but we're doing good. I think that basically covers it, and I would be very happy to entertain any questions at this point.
Thanks, Andy. Questions from the board?
Just one statement. You listed the advantages of the program, and I think that something that the taxpayers and parents are getting for their money, in addition to the money that the district provides, the enormous amount of money that Friends of Music provide, they're getting leaders, and I appreciate that many leaders.
Steve Varley, did you have anything? No. Jay, Tom?
One brief, I don't know if it's an observation, a question, or some combination, but on page 256, the instrument replacement plan, it looks like, are you being overly conservative, or did we just have a bad year dropping things last year? If we go from 18 down to 5 for replacing equipment, and it stays at about half of the 1 year.
I think being conservative is a good rationale. I mean, it's a good explanation. I mean, we have lots of kids that would love to play like a bassoon or some other instruments of that nature. And right now, we know things are tight, and we purposely went low this year. I mean, but that's okay. You know, I mean, we can make things happen.
Just not this year, 2 years out, 3 years out, it seems to be consistently lower than what we just did. If it's all you need, that's a great answer. I just don't.
Yeah, and you know what? In a year from now, I might come in and say, guess what? I have some people that really, have the aptitude to pick up something new, and some of this could change a little bit. But that's where we stand right now.
Then again, let the record show that the superintendent just took his glasses off.
Thank you.
Anything else for Andy? No? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening, Andy.
Al, next is school to career.
Oh, there she is.
Hello?
Hi, Gail.
Gail, they all left you.
Our support system just went right out the door.
My whole support system just left. That's okay.
You were nice enough to stay through theirs.
Jay's there?
Jay's there.
Thanks, Jay. You're welcome. Stay right through. All right, okay. Well, I will hopefully be concise. And I'm pleased to be here again and to thank the board and the community and the superintendent, and certainly all of my colleagues, and especially the students, for their participation in this program. The School to Career program really cuts across all of the things that we've been talking about all night, in that the program introduces students to careers, to career planning, to the tools that they need lifelong to enjoy a well-supported future. And so that their academics, their outside of the classroom learning, all of that. My personal goal for students, for each student at Londonderry, is to graduate from high school with a goal of their choice and not chance. That they have a direction in mind when they leave us and they move on to work or further education. what we do in the School to Career Office is provide those career guidance services, and those cut across pretty much everything. Internships are one piece of it, but working with classroom teachers, working with community members, working with students one-on-one, in groups, in classroom settings, and so forth, to allow them to investigate career options, what courses that they need, what the world of work is like, to help them find jobs on a very practical level, and all of those associated things. The budget that that I'm proposing is actually lower than last year, and it is lower by $1,325. We're asking for $11,400 this year. Where those funds go primarily are for supplies for the Career Center. The School to Career program really operates in two schools, the middle school and the high school. We support programs at the middle school. We just had our middle school career day yesterday with the 8th grade, and it provides materials for that program, bringing in guest speakers from the community and so forth. We have job placement materials. We have online career development tools that students use and that are used throughout both middle school and through 9 through 12. And we also support the pathway programs that are offered at the high school through the curriculum by hooking students up with internships, providing guest speakers, running career breakfast programs, those kinds of things that align with the career cluster programs that we offer for teaching and engineering and finance and so forth. So pretty much we're involved in every aspect at every grade level with pretty much every kid at some level, either on a one-on-one basis or in a classroom presentation or through the guidance department in programs that we offer through the guidance curriculum, because I'm involved in that too. In specifics, what we're looking for is funds for supplies and other supporting materials. The biggest item on the budget is money for that supports our Academy of Finance program. And so the line item for conference and mileage would probably jump out at you. It jumps out at me. And the reason for that is we are part of the National Academy Foundation Academy of Finance. And because of that association, there are some fees and expenses as part of that. There's a $1,000 membership fee. This is a national organization. We have an advisory board locally, along with 7 other high schools that we're involved with. There are a couple of conferences involved that are membership in that are their professional development conferences. NAF pays for 2 teachers the airfare and hotel expenses for a couple of teachers to go, but the conference fees and so forth need to be picked up by the district. And so those are primarily where that number comes from, the attendance at those professional national events. And at those events, they provide curriculum, they provide leadership training, they provide other resources for to run that program. As part of NAF, sort of the other side of that is our students are eligible for scholarship money. Last year, one of our students was awarded a $20,000 scholarship because he was part of the academy and they deemed his application suitable. That was pretty nice. And every year, we are eligible for a $3,000 Citigroup grant, pretty much just for being in an academy program. So we make sure that we get that money every year, and I think that money's still going to be available.
Yeah, I apologize, but I understand that they just got a pretty good grant, too.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. So, well, this money goes where it should go, and that's for the kids.
Thank you. Yes, it does.
And I think we were able to save some money. The little bit of money, the work-based learning insurance that we used to have to pay for is now is covered by our district policy now. So that's a little bit of savings there and so forth. So I put some statistics in my report as to participation and what sort of events we run and where our kids are interning. I think they're throughout the district and all over the place now. So we're pretty proud of them, and they're it's a great resource.
Thanks, Gail. Any questions? I know, Ron.
No, I'm all set. You answered the question about the insurance.
Okay.
Okay? All right?
Just, could I just say one quick thing? When you go to page, if I can see it here, 267, I think one of the most interesting statistics about the whole thing is the tenfold increase in internships from 01-02 to projected 09-10. We went from 6 internships to 61.
And
What do you mean?
I have to admit that we run that program year-round. That is, and it's 4 credit, so, that's another enhancement.
And they're not in our seats.
That's correct.
They're not in our seats,
Not in
no.
the seats. Yep. It's true.
So,
Do you have something?
all right, thank you.
Oh, I thought you did.
Thank you.
Gail,
Yeah.
thanks.
Mr. Corey is up next, middle school.
You didn't have a clean pencil on you, would you?
If you're following along at home, my presentation is page 275 in the budget book. Okay. They might have downloaded it.
You'd be surprised.
Last year's budget, 08-09, was $273,750. I'm proposing a budget of $261,264, which is a reduction of $12,486. Enrollment-wise, at the 6th grade, we'll have 397 students coming in. We are proposing 3.5 teams for a ratio of 22.7 to 1. At grade 7, 411 students, again 3.5 teams for a ratio of 23.5 to 1. And at grade 8, 423 students, keeping the 4 teams for a ratio of 21.2. As Mark presented the other night, the assistant superintendent's budget has a line item of $40,900 for the purchase of a reading language arts program that will be extended into grade 7 this year. In the replacement equipment account, we are requesting the replacement of several bookshelves, 4 walkie-talkies that the administrators carry on a daily basis, book carts for staff that travel throughout the day. In social studies, we have included the purchase of 25 replacement texts for 8th grade. In Mr. Zappala's budget, you will see the suggested maintenance projects needed for LMS. Bob Blanchett, head custodian, and his crew do an outstanding job maintaining our facility. This year, we are asking the board to approve the conversion of room 213 back into an art room. We took an art room last year for Friends 3 to give them immediate access to the outside. 213 many years ago was an art room, so the conversion should be pretty simple and relatively economical. All the furniture and everything for the room currently still resides in the middle school. The Brown Center program evolved into the Storm Adventure program at LMS. This program has allowed us to meet the needs of our students while controlling the dates and times of the program. This year, our PE staff assisted our 6th grade teams in developing 3 sessions that are being held at LMS. All of our students participate in this program. This change from the Brown Center to our own program, Storm Adventure, allowed us to save a fee to the parents of $85. The program does no longer have any fee to it. Also this year, we discontinued our DARE program and replaced it with Resiliency for Life. This program, which is supported by our health teachers, guidance counselors, SAP counselor, SRO, and computer teachers, have allowed us to address issues such as alcohol, drugs, and internet safety in a more comprehensive way with staff known to students. This program has allowed the Londonderry Police Department to reallocate their human resources to better serve the needs of their department as well. More Than Words is in its 4th year.
of being a program held at LMS. The program was attended by approximately 65% of our 7th grade students and parents, which was up slightly over last year. The attendance has stayed steady, but the number of families with both parents attending has increased. By moving to LMS from an off-site location, we have avoided the cost of buses and lunches while increasing participation of Londonderry School District personnel. This will be the second year we had offered a school assembly for all 7th graders. This way we could guarantee that each of them experience at least one component of the program. You know, we struggle with the parents who don't bring them out at night, so we added this to ensure that each of them was getting something during the school day. Over the past few years, the middle school has increased instructional time for all students. We have provided students with accelerated opportunities in math and reading. We have developed multiple levels of service for our struggling readers. We have increased our number of academies to offer both enrichment and support for students. We reinstituted a summer school for students who needed to catch up on credits. We continue to provide programs like the Storm Adventure Program, Resiliency for Life, Artists in Residence, and More Than Words. We changed our administrative structure to allow us to focus more on curriculum and instruction. We reduced our clerical support by 1 full-time position, eliminated a computer education assistant, and reduced our world language staff by 0.4 2 years ago. We recommended the reduction of 1 physical education teacher in last year's budget. This year we have recommended the reduction of 7 full-time staff, 1 paraprofessional, and 1 hour of monitor time. We have shown improvement on both state and local testing, and we have been able to do this while reducing our budget by over $50,000 since the 04-05 school year. And at this point, I'll take any questions. Well, one thing I do want to just update the board on, just in the area of cost avoidance, picking up on the internet theme. We do all our faculty handbook is now online. All staff notices are via email. Student attendance is done all electronically now at X2. All student announcements are done electronically. All our newsletters are now electronically. What that calculates into roughly, just from that, not counting the postage we save, is 38 cases of paper. You know, so it's a significant savings. This year we put up a principals page to try to increase communication with parents. Last month it had 1,100 visits. What we have added that's been great for parents is we put the school day up on the computer so they can figure out if it's a PE or music day. I know you've all had students go through, and that's a huge issue. Now you can at least click on it in the morning, and there's the number right there for you. It takes care of that. We also schedule all parent-teachers conferences online. So our communication has improved, services have stayed the same, and I think we're still doing an outstanding job with our kids. So if you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
Questions from the board?
I have the same one that I asked, and you guys might as well just answer them instead of me having to ask them. Same question I asked of Jason Parent. The superintendent proposed these reductions, and you've highlighted them here. Your faith in your ability to continue services at the level that you've been providing them, or better, with that reduction?
I think we can. When I first thought about the half teams, I was a little nervous because historically the old model had 1 person teaching math and science and 1 person teaching social studies and language arts. In the day of highly qualified and really people with a passion in the subject area, that concerned me. And that's where we went to the model of a split team, so that now I teach 5 sections of social studies, say, which is my passion, but I teach 3 7th grade sections and 2 6th grade sections. I also think it's good for the children to have those 4 teachers and to move classrooms frequently. Developmentally, that's appropriate, and I think it also prepares them for the high school level. I think what we have to do is some work maybe with the community. I think there might be some apprehension of what does a half team mean to my child if my child is scheduled on that half team. But in the winter, February time period, I go out and I speak to all the elementary schools. I will be addressing that. I think when the community realizes the number of staff that have come up to me that are very interested in teaching this because they find maybe teaching the same thing 5 times a day a little boring, I don't think it'll be a problem. But we do have a selling job to do.
Anything else, Bob?
X2, how is that working for you?
That's fantastic, but I'm kind of a math geek, so I love the scheduling. So for me, it's just a mathematical formula that you need to figure out, and then I work with Paula Broussard, who's the guidance administrative assistant, And she brings the other side of that, the logical thinking. You know, she'll give me the problem to solve from the math point of view, and then she'll make it work from the team concept. And when I originally spoke to the board about world language in that cut, I was concerned about how that would look. Next year, what we've decided to do is from a computer standpoint, we'll name two teams basically the same thing, so when they're scheduled, they'll be mixed into language arts, into the related arts, so there won't be a scheduling issue with large class sizes. So we'll kind of fool the computer.
So it sounds like you're happy.
Oh, we're very happy with it, yeah. But again, scheduling is one of those things that I kind of enjoy doing, which most people don't like to admit to.
Okay. Jay, Tom, anything?
Other than a historical question, why did we take the out of room 213 to begin with? Only to go back there. I mean, I assume there's cost involved in.
I think when it was originally moved, it was again moved for a special ed program to be adjacent to a room that provided OT services. The reason why we moved it to why we took the art room that we took now is because it has immediate access with its own door to the outside. And that's a severely handicapped population, so it gave us our greatest safety. Basically, what I'm looking to do, the cost impact is just really putting back in a sink. We own all the furniture. The only other cost would probably be to tile the room and take up that piece of carpeting.
Anything else? Andy, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have the elementary people come up. Linda had a family conflict, and she'll do her presentation next Thursday.
Just, I'm just gonna, I don't wanna have you start something, and we're still gonna shoot to try to be done by 10.
These guys are always quick.
So,
These guys are.
and I'm just being told by my colleagues, you guys are being quick, and I don't know if that's because you have nothing to say, or...
9:45.
We have a lot to say. No, seriously, we'll be out of here soon. I want to thank the board for giving us the opportunity, and I'd like to, first of all, let the board know that when we put together our budgets, the four of us, Bonnie, myself, Linda, and Carol, worked together, and if you look at our budget analysis reports, you'll notice is equitability based on the number of students that we have in each of our buildings. So we work together to present this budget as well as to put the budget together. I want to just piggyback on what Andy had said about some cost-saving measures before I begin. One area that the elementary school has worked hard at, and thanks to Mark's efforts with Scott Forsman, is learning materials accounts in the areas of language arts and mathematics continue to reflect the deal that we have, where we have language arts workbooks and reading workbooks at no cost, and our unit benchmark assessments and our math workbooks in grades 1 and 2 at half price until the year 2009. And then at that point, we would assume the cost of the entire workbooks and math workbooks in our own budgets. But right now, that's a cost savings of over $8,000 to $9,000 at each of the buildings, and more at the other schools because they have more students. We also have posted our teacher handbooks online as well as our student parent handbooks. We continue to go green in all areas. We do daily emails to parents. We've saved paper, and I'm not sure the exact amount of paper, but it is reflected in our decrease in our supply budget as well, that we have certainly used that resource, and it's been great. I'd like to thank our office assistants for all the work that they did in manually putting in the addresses of all of our parents in the building. Also, we've created an inventory.
I'm sorry, you just used the term all of your parents in the building. So
I'm pretty close. We're about almost 90%, Steve. We still have, I believe, about 40 parents out of 572, which I think is a pretty good number, and so it's worked very well. We also have created an inventory of textbooks at each of the schools so that we can shift books around when our enrollments go up. This year in particular, I needed 25 reading books at grade 1, and I simply called Carol and Linda, and they were able to get those books to us. And, that's a cost savings of about $3,000 just by utilizing resources that we already have. We also continue to use district trainers or teachers as trainers in the area of professional development to save monies on outside presenters. And we also continue to accept furniture donations, art supplies, any types of materials. And as well now, we do work together if we need a filing cabinet of some kind in the middle of the year, teacher chair, what have you. Our first avenue is to ask the the three schools actually, if they have those items, and we're able to swap them over. Again, would be for a cost savings rather than purchasing new equipment. The building account for North School next year, in comparison of year FY 209 and 210. In FY 209, North School had an enrollment of 572 students with a budget of $95,240. Next year, we have an enrollment dropping 5 students to 567 students anticipated, and our budget is $93,755. So we have a difference of $1,465 down. Some of the areas of decrease in the budget, our regular ed supplies, as I indicated before, is down $2,900, and again, that's primarily due to less paper. We have nursing supplies down at $130, and also postage is down $239. We've worked hard at trying to eliminate the number of mailings over the years, and so we did that this year, and you'll see that in each of the schools. Some areas of increase, we've increased the replacement equipment by a modest $70, and this is due to we're adding 3 walkie-talkies to our arsenal to get up to the number of 6 that we need. And we did order, as the board remembers last year, we did order 2 last year, and this year we will finish up that, so we'll have new walkie-talkies for several years. Learning materials art is up, again, a modest $214 to reflect some increases in some of the art supplies that have been ordered in the past. You'll also notice an increase at North School in the Office of the Principal conference mileage of $1,500. That is not an increase in $1,500 district-wide. That's an increase at North School of $1,500. Every year, we send 1 administrator of the 3 to the National Elementary Conference. We don't send all 3 administrators. So what you'll see this year is a decrease in Carol Mack's a decrease in Carol Mack's budget of $1,500 in that area, and it will be an increase in my budget this year. And then next year, Linda's will increase, as she'll go next year. Be happy to answer any questions that regarding North School for next year.
John? Steve? Jay? Tom? All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Thank you. Although we still claim the title of the largest elementary school in Londonderry, Matthew Thornton is coming into the budget season once again with a projected enrollment decrease. We're going to be down 22 students this year, or we're projected. But I have to say, after sitting many of the years that I've been here in an overcrowded building, it's really nice to have appropriate space. We've greatly enjoyed the space that we've had this year. By reducing our regular ed classroom numbers from 32 to 29 for next year, we'll be able to maintain equitable offerings with the other elementary schools and continue our 2 district-wide programs, and also make good use of the newly freed up space. Where our thoughts right now are to use one of the vacated classrooms for special curriculum space for the math program. The math curriculum teacher will teach math enrichment there for grades 1 and 3 once a week, and for grades 4 and 5 every day. The second room will be allocated to the speech language pathologist. The 3 of them have been working in a very tight situation with the occupational therapists, and they're looking forward to having space for their small group therapy. And the other space will be used for more small group learning space for English language learners, of which we're going to have a few coming in next year, and our math support teacher. So these changes will fully use the space that we have and allow us to continue to provide the excellence in education that you've come to expect. And over the years, I have watched as we change the way we teach. Small groups do dominate our instruction, and they allow us to tailor the instruction to each child. If you look at our assessment scores, you'll see that things have gotten better, and they were good before, but they're even better now. And I have always felt that we do a wonderful job at Matthew Thornton, but I truly believe that now we do an even better job. So I think that kind of answers your questions about reductions. I'm grateful for my new assistant principal, Mr. Hunt, and our special ed coordinator, Mrs. Jacobs. They do a wonderful job, and the three of us work really hard to make sure that we get to know all the students. We're thankful to the community and the superintendent and the school board for all the support that you've provided us with our new reading program, our math program, by supporting our PAWS program that allows us to spend less time on discipline and more time on instruction. And also by continuing to update and improve our physical plant. As you know, we're the oldest building in the district. Oldest principal too, but we're not going to go there. And
Not this year.
we're pushing 60, but we're able to provide a cheerful, well-maintained, trim budget, and we're very proud of that. Okay. There has been an interesting occurrence for us, too, in the area of supplies, because as we've worked to use email and our website for communication, we have noticed a drop in the expenditures in the general supply account. So if we do it on a per pupil basis, it should go down, but it's actually dropped $4 per student. And this has occurred in spite of the rising cost of paper. So we really are seeing a good benefit from all the technology that we use. You will also note that we have made some personnel cuts, and that's hard. It's a hard thing to do. But we appreciate that when our enrollment was growing, I can't remember that, but you did allow us to hire much-needed staff. And now that we're dropping, we're hopeful that these cuts will help the district to provide a budget that will assist us in achieving the initiatives of the strategic plan, but it's also highly cost-effective. And now I'll answer any questions that you have.
Questions from the board? Gentlemen?
Just, I think your sign's wrong. I think it's a 9% decrease in the budget.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I meant decrease, excuse me. Thank you.
We won't hold that against you.
Thank you.
No extra credit.
Anything else? Carol, thanks.
Thank you.
The Moose Hill budget begins on page 325. Currently, we have 310 kindergarten students, and once again, it broke fairly evenly between the AM and the PM session, which we are always very thankful for. Next year, our projection, again, is for 310 kindergarten students. The difference will be we will have 8 kindergarten teachers next year, which will have an impact on the class size. This year, we have an average of 17 students per class. It'll be 19 students per class next year with only the 8 kindergarten teachers. Again, we hope for the fallout to be even between the AM and PM. We do keep a very close eye on the number as people are registering, and we don't allow any switches between the AM and the PM program until we have a better handle on where the numbers are falling. And then we allow on a case-by-case basis. Again, the projections are always a challenge to the superintendent and myself. Because we don't know how many students are out there in the community that will be coming into kindergarten. We do have a broader database right now based on the last 8 years of data that we've collected. And we know that out there in the community, based on past registration, we have 215 potential kindergartners as of right now because of our database. So that really helps us a lot with our projections. So hopefully we'll have a better handle on that as we gather more data. The operating budget for next year is $52,651. That's a difference of $2,019. Areas of decrease, you will notice the testing. We've been able to look at the past history of the testing of the kindergarten students as they come in, and also the first graders, new first graders into the district are included in that. We don't have as much turnover in terms of our testing materials now. We're not having to replace them. So we've been able to get a better handle on that and able to decrease in that area. The least usage copier is down. Regular ed supplies are down. Replacement equipment is down. And then the Office of Principal Printing is down. The areas of increase, you'll see the repair and maintenance. We had cut that quite a bit 2 years ago, and we found we cut it a little bit too much, so that's why we have to increase it again. And plus, because of the age and the wear and tear right now on the materials that we have purchased at the beginning of the school year, we're finding we're needing to repair more. than we obviously did our first few years. New equipment, you'll find in the new equipment is of radios. We do need to start replacing some of the radios we purchased towards the beginning of the year that are now to the point where we cannot get replacement parts. We actually have to replace the whole radio. So, and that's for our walkie-talkies for communication reasons. And unfortunately, an area of increase is the principal postage. Unlike the other schools, we can't make very good use of the emails because we have, most of our mailings are for incoming kindergarten students, incoming leaps. So we have to do the registration packets, the first mailings, the summer screening. So that's where a lot of our postage goes. We will, as I said, be reducing one full-time kindergarten teacher and 2 3-hour instructional assistants. We continue to offer a comprehensive early childhood program, and we are confident we can continue to do so because of the personnel that we have hired. We have excellent early childhood education teachers, and they will continue to provide the quality program that we have, and we thank you for your continued support of that program, the school board as well as the superintendent's office. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thanks, Bonnie. Questions? Yep, Ron?
Bonnie, you said you have a database of students. How are you developing that database?
During the registration process, on our registration form, they actually list siblings.
Okay.
And that gives us a birth date, so we put that into our computer, and that comes up during the year that they would be entering kindergarten.
Okay, and I don't know if this is for Sean, or why couldn't the package of papers we get on the first day of school, at least at the elementary school, why wouldn't we want to have that same type of information on those forms to gather those parents in next year to give us that database, because you probably are in that range, and even at the middle school, grab those two areas to expand that database to the largest part, so instead of maybe 215, you can be at 230, 245 type of deal.
It's on the registration form, so I'm sure that's probably something Sean could do.
Can we do that for next year, so we have that information to give us a good idea of where the kids are coming from? Because that'll give us the second idea, is where are they, what school district, what elementary school are they going to impact?
Yeah, that would be.
Next question I have is on X2. How is it working at North School?
It's working excellent at North School, Ron. It is.
Have you used it?
Yes, I have.
I just asked, Zach. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to set him up like
No,
that, really.
I knew that was coming, just like I know when the glasses are coming off from the superintendent, so.
Just left them off the whole meeting.
No, it's working out very well. We went through some growing pains early on. We did go through some growing pains with report cards at the elementary level. I wanted to personally thank Sean and Tom. They came over, and Carol Mack was over, and we finally got that up and running, and we're looking forward to, when we do report cards again, that'll be a much smoother operation. So things are going very well. We like the program. It's easy to use, and so far so good for us.
Carol?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. You know, certainly at the beginning of the year, we didn't have all the reports that we needed. We had a few little glitches, and I think that's to be expected. The same with the report cards. When we first went to use them, we found there were some glitches with them. But we worked really hard, and Sean and Tom were absolutely wonderful. They were everywhere, and we worked closely with them to make sure that everything was fixed. We'll probably have another meeting shortly while it's still fresh in everyone's mind, so that we can go over each grade level report card and make sure that if there are any changes that still need to be made, that they'll be taken care of. Thank you.
Carol, didn't you really like the old software, though? You were the one that was...
No, I was happy.
Okay.
I'm okay. I'm all right with it. Thank you.
And I was thinking that in terms of, Steve, when you asked Sean to, he probably earned more than what you paid him just in that X2, bringing it up, getting everybody trained, having meetings. I mean, he was available at a phone call to, you'd call and say, Sean, okay, I can't do this, and he'd be right there talking to you on the phone, and if he couldn't do it on the phone, he'd be over in your office as soon as he could get there. He has just responded, as Carol said, he and Tom have just done a wonderful job of helping us all get X2 savvy and really be able to work the program and get the information out of the program that we need to get as administrators and that the teachers needed to get on the teacher level, the report cards as well as the attendance. And they have just responded very quickly, and it's been wonderful because of them. It's given us the knowledge that we need to use the program.
And I think the other thing is with the quick reports that are in it, you can access the information very quickly. You can make your own reports of things that, you want to look up a classroom of students or whatever it is. You can, if you needed who's on bus 36, you can quickly do a query and find that out. The administrative assistants in the office are also saying that they're finding it very easy to register students, to find students' information. And so I think it's going to be a lot easier when we start next year.
John and then Rob.
My turn to put you on the spot here. Both Bonnie and Rich, you have reductions in teaching staff and no meaningful reductions in enrollment. What's your level of comfort with that? How much larger is that making kindergarten classes, if it is, and what kind of impact does that have? And Rich, what's your feeling on increasing class sizes in either 4th or 5th grade?
Well, I think, as I said, on the kindergarten level, we're going to go from a class size of 17 to 19. And also, my initial reaction to the superintendent was, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, he and after the initial shock, and I take a step back and say, okay, this is the reality of the situation. This is how the budget is going. How do I best deal with that? And as I said to you, I have professionals. I've hired the best teachers that I can hire. They are early childhood specialists. They know their field, and they will do their job. And they are very good at their job. And I have the highest confidence in them that they will make this work with 2 more children in each classroom.
I appreciate what you're saying very much. The attitude is wonderful. But that being said, are we losing enough in terms of service to the kids to make the board wonder if we want to put that person back?
I think, as the superintendent stated, we would all prefer to see a class size of 15 or 16. But I don't think that you're going to lose in the delivery of instruction, which is what teachers provide.
Okay.
You're not going to lose that.
Rich, same question.
Obviously, we don't want high class sizes, and I've sat up here many times, especially when we looked at hiring assistants to help us with our reading program to reduce those numbers, even when we had class sizes down in 23, 24 because of our reading program and the type of delivery of instruction that we have. In the past, we have made it work, and I'm going to kind of echo what Bonnie said, is that we will make it work at whatever class size it is. And whether it be, trying to get small groups somehow into that classroom or support, what have you, we will make it work. But obviously, I'd be remiss, John, if I said to you that I like high class sizes. I would much rather have smaller class sizes at all grade levels.
Again, I appreciate the can-do attitude. But same follow-up question. Is it worth the cost of the additional teacher in your school to have the classes at, I think it was 23 rather than 27?
I would take the 23 every time.
Is there any quantifiable metric that we could use to make that case?
I just, I think 3, 4, 5 kids, there's a huge difference there between 23 and 27. We have a lot of students that require additional support in a lot of different areas. So I obviously, when you have 23 students, you're able to manage some of and I'm looking at reading specifically, and even in mathematics when we group, we try to have small group instruction. Obviously, groups of 5 are better than groups of 8. kind of thing, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John. Ronnie, did you have something else?
No, I think I'm all set right now.
Jay, Tom, Ben?
George, I just wanted to end by, I wanted to thank all of the curriculum coordinators, all of the assistant principals, special ed coordinators that came out the last few nights. We're sitting up here, but a lot of the work that we do is combined. It's a combined effort at each of the buildings. So I just want to thank them for their being here tonight and for working with us on the budget.
We appreciate that as well, Rich, so thank you all very much. It's never easy being out when you have to get up for school in the morning.
That's right. Thank you.
At 10:01.
No. Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Nate, did you have anything else? No. Okay, I have a motion.
Is it 10:01?
It is 10:01.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's 10:01.
Just so it's gonna help carry him out.
I got a motion. I got a motion. and a
fine.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
I mean, Dawn's out of town.